Hi beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel, Beautiful Awakening with Shantia. Welcome to another transit video with me. Alright, so I'm excited. I wanted to do this video for you guys because we want to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically prepared for what's coming this year. And I think it's healthy to look into or just get a sense for things. Also, I'm just a nerd about these things. I'm a nerd about astrology and I love finding patterns. I love seeing how everything connects. So by the way, Happy New Year to you guys. Happy 2025. I'm actually shooting this on the 1st. So that's like a double good luck for us, where we're entering and welcoming these fresher energies and this beautiful reset. And I just want you to know that's going to be a continuous theme throughout this year, is these resets, as has been a common theme in the last few years as well. It's just constantly hitting reset. And that reset is essentially a purge that's happening. So I wanted to create this video because in my previous transit video, I mainly talked about the huge transits where the planets were shifting, and the planets aren't shifting for a while. So I thought, you know what? I got to make a video talking about where the planets are at right now. That way you have a better idea of what's going on. So thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Just continue to hit the like or share the videos to support the channel, and I would really appreciate it. So down below I have some links. I have links down below for you looking into your Vedic chart if you want to get the Vedic chart calculations, because when I'm doing the horoscopes for all of the 12 zodiac signs, I'm doing this according to the Vedic transits. So it won't really make sense if you're not using your Vedic calculations. So please use your Vedic calculations. I even have an app down below that I suggested called Cosmic Insight, and that's one of my favorite apps to check the transits. You can also look into like 5 years from now where the transit's going to be and track everything. It's a pretty cool app for that. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. So for the first 10 to 20 minutes, we're going to be talking about the themes. I tend to be long-winded, that's why I said 10 to 20 minutes. I do want to get through it quickly because last time I did the horoscopes, it took me like an hour and a half to get through all the signs. And I was like, oh my goodness. So that's about 10 minutes per sign. I'm like, that's honestly not that long. So hopefully 10 to 20 minutes, we can just talk about the themes. That way you have a very strong idea of what's going on. Because if you're going through this spiritual revolution with the collective here, and you're levitating and stabilizing higher states of consciousness, which if you want to learn about your states of consciousness, go ahead and check out my link in the description box where I talk about the 7 levels of consciousness, which I essentially channeled this information from the divine, but everyone has their own interpretation, and it's pretty much like we're all tuning into the same thing. I just like going into my own system sometimes because it helps me to understand clearly what it is I'm seeing. So if you're leveling up into that 7th state of consciousness, which is the God consciousness, unity consciousness, and the Messiah consciousness, then the planets are going to have a different impact on you. If you're operating at a lower state of consciousness, which is perfectly normal too, you're going to see more physical experiences happening and showing up in your life. There's going to be less internal shifts that are happening within you, but there's going to be a lot of external things that are showing up. And a really good example or reference to go to is celebrities. So you'll see a lot of physical things manifesting when it comes to their lives, but for us, it's happening on the internal. And I really want to stress that. So after I talk about the themes, I'm going to talk about reading the North Indian chart, and I'm just going to go over it just like I did in my previous transit video. And I will talk to you and describe to you how do you read a North Indian chart if you haven't read it before, and what the sun, ascendant, and the moon represents. So per tradition, Vedic chart horoscope readings refer mainly to ascendant and moon, but I like to do the sun readings as well because I find that whenever I listen to a sun reading, it matches up with what's going on in my life. And part of that has to do with the fact that I have 3 planets sharing my sun sign energy. So sometimes you just might have a lot of collective planets in the same energy, which, you know, you're welcome to check those planets out too. But I definitely encourage people to try out what works and see what lines up for them. So after I talk about the North Indian chart and reading that briefly, then I'm going to go into all of the 12 horoscopes. And this time I got coffee. time I got so tired. I'm actually quite caffeine sensitive, so it doesn't take a lot to get me awake and alive. But this time I have some coffee with me because I'm like, I need to stay awake for this entire recording. Because last time I was just getting so tired. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's get started on talking about the themes for 2024. Okay. So what we got going on here? Okay. So this is the themes for 2024 that are also continuing on until mid 2025. So starting out with Jupiter. So I'm going to be focusing on Jupiter. When I'm reading your horoscopes, I might mention some of the same things I talked about before because I might want to get into some additional details. But we're going to be focusing on the North Node, South Node, Rahu, Neptune, and we'll be focusing on Jupiter. That's going to be the main planet as well, and Saturn. So Saturn's going to be shifting into Pisces at the end of March 29th, so it's basically April time. And so Saturn in Aquarius gives off a bit of a different energy, but if you dive into Vedic Astrology, they have what's called nakshatras. There's 27 nakshatras that are connected to all of the 12 zodiac signs, and you can get some detailed information about specifically what are the themes that are showing up, because Jupiter in Taurus is not the same for every degree. It's actually different for every degree. It's like a different theme, but for every nakshatra, which is usually like there's typically 3 nakshatras that make up a sign, it's a different theme. So Jupiter is in Taurus right now, and it's currently in Rohini nakshatra, and it's actually retrograde. So this might be why it's manifesting internally within us. Like, so it's showing up internally within us, the themes around Jupiter, which Jupiter is dedicated to learning, wisdom, and expansion. Jupiter in Taurus specifically is connected to expansion and building a foundation. So foundational, how do we build our foundation? This is based off of our values and things that we believe. So our beliefs is what creates a foundation for who we are and what's important to us. By April 10th, Jupiter is going to shift into Mrigashira nakshatra, which goes from Taurus to Gemini. And Mrigashira has this energy of perseverance and co-creating energy. We'll dive further into it. And by mid-June of 2025, Jupiter is going to shift into Ardra, which is about the storm. But storms are purifications. And this is going to be a really good point of releasing that happens, and then rest. I feel like it's going to be a release, a rest, and then feeling a lot lighter during that time. So starting out, Jupiter is in Rohini, retrograde until February 4th. So I feel like when it moves forward, February 4th, that's going to be a really good time for strong optimism, and you may see some really lucky opportunities and experiences and things manifest into the physical for you during this time. So in Rohini is this energy of consistency, being methodical, productive, creative. So perhaps you've been feeling an expansion when it comes to your creative abilities, your creative intuition. Rohini also translates into the growing one. So what are we growing? We're investing. So this is very much 7 of Pentacles and 8 of Pentacles energy. We're investing our energy into something we want that can grow later on. This is a very productive nakshatra. So maybe you've been very productive behind the scenes, working on yourself. Because the ultimate spiritual alignment within ourselves is that not that we focus on our physical manifestations, but that we focus on building ourselves as people. Rohini nakshatra is ruled by the moon. Its secondary ruler is Venus. So our moon is connected to our subconscious. Venus is connected to giving and receiving love, the energy of love. So this is a time where we've been focusing on rebuilding a new foundation when it comes to our subconscious mindset. So we're rebuilding new insights and ideas into our subconscious. We're rebuilding and we're recreating a new mindset for ourselves. And perhaps we're also rebuilding a new foundation when it comes to what we love, what we value in this world, what we appreciate, how we love, We're rethinking that. What would be a better experience for me to love in this way or that way? Rohini is also the 4th nakshatra. So this is connected to foundations, stability. And Rohini is directly linked to the Empress energy because it's the 4th card in tarot. And this again connects me to Venus, rest, healing, abundance, and the great goddess, the great mother goddess energy. A really good native to reference when it comes to Rohini is Angelina Jolie. She's very much a good representation. I think Priyanka Chopra as well is a good representation of Rohini Nakshatra. And I actually think Brooke Shields had a documentary that was made, I don't know if it was last year. Yeah, I think it was last year sometime. She had a documentary made, and maybe this was due to this Rohini Nakshatra energy showing up for her. But I looked at her chart once, and she had like a huge, like 6 planets in Taurus. So I'm sure she's been going through a lot of shifts within her during this period of time. Even Angelina Jolie has been out in the media and is gaining and growing in popularity. She's doing more interviews than she typically would because she's feeling a lot more optimistic about herself and wanting to connect with people. Rohini Nakshatra is connected to the animal of the serpent. So it's a serpent nakshatra. And the serpent is a representation of the master of the sexual union. So I feel like this is our sexual creative life force. This is our Shakti life force energy that is creating a union inside of us here. So this is what we're going through with Jupiter being in Rohini right now, is we're establishing balance within ourselves, and there's a union that's happening inside of us when it comes to our Shakti life force energy. And this is actually continuing on through April when Jupiter transits into Mrigashira. So Mrigashira is the 2nd serpent nakshatra for all the 27 nakshatras. Mrigashira is connected to, it's ruled by Mars. So someone mentioned that this year was actually the year of Saturn. So this is the year of 8. It was the year of Saturn. It's not this year, sorry. We're in 2025. Gotta get used to this. But 2024 was supposed to be the year of Saturn, the year of 8, the year of delay, and like putting in a lot of hard work. 2025 is going to feel a lot lighter. This year is going to feel a lot lighter, and it's going to be because we have Mars there. So Mars, to me, it's not actually representing the new beginning. There's some clues here. Like the divine is showing us and talking to us and communicating all of these clues. And now that we have something called the internet, thank goodness, we can connect all the dots. But 2025 is the year of Mars, and this is the year, to me, of progress. So there's going to be forward movement in your life. Things are going to shift, but the cleansing is still happening. And Mars can also be a very challenging energy, sometimes quite combative. So you just have to watch for that. But you will feel more energy this year. So Mrigashira is connected to, also 2026 is going to be the year of 1. So this year is a year of 9, year of completion, Mars. 2026 is going to be the year of 1, and it's going to be the year of Sun. That, to me, is where the true new beginning is initiating. It's also going to be the year of the horse in the Chinese zodiac. And the horse is about freedom. So this year, we're still being disciplined. We're still working on ourselves. But the following year is when we're going to feel so much more liberated. Things are going to lighten up. You're going to feel a lot more liberated to move, progress. You're going to feel a lot less stagnant. You know, Saturn can make us feel stagnant, but Saturn makes you sit. It makes you sit, it makes you wait, it makes you work on yourself. Mars, however, is more action-oriented. It's more progressive, right? It's more engaged, excited, it's youthful. So Mrigashira is connected to perseverance and the weaving process. This is specifically what I read in the book. And the weaving process took me to Diana from Discovery of Witches. She's a weaver. And in Discovery of Witches, she discovers her lineage. She discovers that she's part of this powerful witch lineage. So Mrigashira is about aligning and discovering one's true life path or destiny. So right around April is where you're going to feel so much more confident and in alignment with your true destiny, your true North Star. Mrigashira is also connected to the moon deity. So it's not ruled by the moon, it's ruled by Mars, but it's connected to the deity of the moon. So we have this continuous theme playing out again about the subconscious mind and feminine goddess energy. Mrigashira is considered to be the seat of Shakti, which is the primordial goddess energy. This is ancient feminine wisdom. This is a high priestess energy. Mrigashira can be wrathful. And to me, the wrathful is that shadow aspect of ourselves that is necessary to keep us in balance. Learning how to sit with that frustration and that wrath. Mrigashira also is about searching. It has a very searching nature, searching for the perfect spouse, searching for true knowledge, soul searching. So this took me to an image of seeing someone in the desert where they're searching. They're trying to search for who they are. And because Mrigashira is ruled by Mars, this is going to give us energy to do the searching, to do the research and the knowledge about ourselves. So this is going to be another year of us deepening into a layer of self-discovery. There's also going to be an expansion when it comes to communication, ideas, travel, movement, and connections right around April. A really good time to connect with people. Jupiter will also be transiting into Ardra by June. So the reason why I mentioned Ardra, even though we're focusing on Taurus energy and Ardra is in Gemini, is because it's a representation of the storm, which is a huge theme for this entire year. And this is where one would experience a release from the past and then rest. With Jupiter being in Ardra, I feel like this grants us blessings when it comes to us releasing the past. So I feel like there's going to be a beautiful releasing that happens in June, and we're going to feel called to rest, and we're going to also feel called to feel a lot more, we're going to feel a lot more lighter within ourselves during this time after that release happens. So I have here a snake winding around the wand. So I think this is the healing wand, but the snake here is the Shakti life force energy, and this is what's happening in you. You know, all of your chakras coming into balance with that serpent energy. There's just so much. It's crazy when you do the research and you just keep, like, the connections are everywhere. It's so crazy how life lines up like that. Okay, Rahu and Neptune are currently conjunct in Pisces, and they're about 2 to 3 degrees apart. They're currently sitting in, so Neptune is actually sitting in Uttara Bhadrapada. Rahu is sitting in Purva Bhadrapada, but it's essentially the same, very similar themes. So Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada are both connected to the front and the back of the funeral cot. So this is about the exit, the funeral cot. This is the ending of the cycle energy that's showing up. I feel like when Rahu makes its switch into Aquarius, we'll feel a lot more lighter because we feel like we've done a lot of the heavy cleansing that collectively we've been called to do. But then Saturn's also going to be entering into Pisces. So Saturn is in Purva Bhadrapada in the Aquarius side, and then it's going to move into Uttara Bhadrapada in the Pisces side. So again, there's that theme of exiting and ending cycles that's continuing throughout the year. So Purva Bhadrapada is connected to the Christ consciousness versus black magic. Black magic is, to me, a version of the energy, the life force energy, sometimes being misused and being used when it comes to one's ego. So they're misusing it. So we're being granted connections to our abilities, but some people are misusing it, and some people are honestly just confused. Let me be honest. I think some people are just kind of confused about what's going on. And I think when it just comes to me, I like to be very grounded in my process and be very aware. Like, I love imagination. I love creativity and imagination and tuning into my third eye energies. I mainly do that for the readings. I don't really do that on a day-to-day basis, to be honest. On my day-to-day basis, I'm just kind of living life, just doing the regular things, eat, sleep, work, working on whatever. This is what I'm doing on my day-to-day basis. And I feel like it's very important during this time to have a very grounded and simple routine that's helping you to stay connected to this reality. because the shifts are happening inside of you. You know, this is not a time for you to rely on looking externally to inform you about what shifts are going on, because everyone's coming from a different place. They all have their unique perspectives and advices about that, but everything's sort of an estimation. And I think the best teachers to listen to are going to teach you life lessons. They're not going to teach you, well, 25 is going to be the best year ever. They're not going to teach you that. What they're going to teach you is that always work on yourself, always evolve, always tune in. They might tell you that 2025 is going to be an incredible year, but ultimately they're going to give you grounded advice for what you can do right now. And I'm talking about, like, those are the best teachers for me, because even I sometimes can get quite ungrounded. And I admit this. And I acknowledge that this is something I've had to work through. That's that spiritual ego I'm having to work through personally. So Pura Bhadapada, the exit of this cycle, this is also connected to Yajamana, Udyamana, Shakti, the power to raise the evolutionary level. So we're evolving, right? We're spiritually evolving. It's beautiful. And then with Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune helping us to spiritually evolve, it's incredible. So Neptune to me is about the evolution, Uranus is about the revolution, and Rahu is about the transformation. But by the end of the day, it's all like moving on up, right? K2 in Virgo represents purification, healing, hermiting, and releasing perfectionism. So this has definitely been a time of hermiting and releasing. Saturn in Aquarius, being in Purva Bhadapada, and this being the year 8, the year of Saturn, like Saturn has been dragging us through it to teach us, right? And Saturn is connected to delay, restructuring. In Uttada Bhadapada, which is what it's going to move into later on in the year, I think so March it moves into Pisces. A little bit, honestly, I think Saturn's going to be mostly in Purva Bhadapada this year, right? Or yeah, 2025, yeah. But Saturn is connected to the serpent of the deep, and in the deep is our subconscious and our unconscious. So our subconscious is a lot of our fears, that's our programming, you know, the karma in our DNA, and just through living life. You could call it childhood trauma. Trauma to me is just trauma, because sometimes you experience trauma when you're in your 30s, in your 40s, you know, and you're just kind of reacting to life and you're having to deal with that. But in our deepest depths, we have our unconscious. And in our unconscious is where we can activate the observer, or we can connect to the observer in us. And the deepest advice and wisdom that's granted to us and made accessible to us, that is giving us ancient wisdom, ancient, that primordial feminine life force, you know, primordial feminine energy, again, coming through strong. So Purva Bhadapada, again, Uttada Bhadapada, I kind of mentioned it here, even though it's not going to move into that until much later on, but this is connected to Varshodhyamana Shakti, the power to bring rain. This is actually where Neptune is. So this is where the Kundalini rises to the top. One experiences healing, humanitarian, and innovation sharing, and is reconnected to community here. So that's why we've been, watching the videos. We've been feeling called to connect to communities during this time. Yet at the same time, with K2 and Virgo is calling us towards isolation. So it's like some community work is happening here, but there's still time, and there's still more training and inner development and healing within us that has to be done before we can sort of move forward with birthing this beautiful new earth energy. So with Pluto being in Capricorn, I mentioned this in my previous transit video, this is Uttada Shada. This is connected to, it's in Uttada Shada right now, and it's going to be there until 2031. This is about overcoming obstacles and the spiritual warrior energy. The spiritual warrior, this is where people are developing their ability to be a spiritual warrior. And we're becoming so much more stronger because we're overcoming our obstacles. It's also connected to Ganesh, who had to overcome. He represents overcoming obstacles. Pluto at Capricorn is also connected to the cycles of 3. So someone said that we're in the first part of some sort of cycle of some sort. And, I don't really know I don't know. I'm still learning so much, but I just wanted to mention that to you guys. So quite possibly we're in cycle 1 of something. Is this the birth of the new cycle? I don't think so. That's just my opinion, though. It's just an opinion. So with Uranus being in Aries, Uranus is in Kritika right now, and this represents the revolutionary change. That also brings the energy of being critical, because we're essentially perfecting or analyzing who we are and how we operate. So there's been a lot of critique and criticism in the media and amongst one another. We have to watch for that, because the purification is to redirect inward. It's not to direct outward. Judging people is not going to help you to become a better person or to like feel more connected to yourself. It's actually going to make you feel disconnected, and it's going to create this, it's going to support the illusion of separation. So it's not helping you in any way, shape, or form. Uranus is also connected to being militant, discipline, and it's a baptism by fire. So it's very intense. Revolution is what we are experiencing right now. Now, let's go ahead and get into reading the North Indian chart. All right, so I obviously color-coded it. So this is the current nakshatras. You can see how I color-coded all of the current nakshatras, the current transits for the first of the first, January 1st, 2025. This is where the planets are. And yeah, so we have here Moon, Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Rahu, and Ketu. So for the North Indian birth chart, you read it counterclockwise, and you start from this first square or diamond here. This is the ascendant. So your sun, moon is going to be here, or your ascendant, right, is what you're looking into. And you'll see that represented by the images of the sun and the moon in the first house. So this is starting out with Aries, house 1, house 2, Taurus, Gemini, house 3, Cancer, house 4, Leo's in house 5, Virgo's in house 6, Libra's in house 7, Scorpio's in house 8, Sagittarius is in house 9, Capricorn is in house 10, and Aquarius is in house 11, and Pisces is in house 12. So when I go over your charts and I do your horoscope readings, I will definitely make sure to mention that I will mention the houses. Sometimes I say the wrong ones though, because when I looked back at my recordings, sometimes I said the wrong planets, and I was like, oh, why did I do that? All right, so let's go ahead and, before that, so the sun represents what you are emanating, what you're putting out. It's kind of what you're feeling also, just in your own energy about yourself or how you're seeing yourself. And sometimes the energy you're putting out into the world towards other people. The moon is what you're perceiving. So this is your perception colors your reality. So you might have your ascendant in a certain placement where you're receiving certain things in your life. And it's physically, this is how life is showing up for you in the physical. But you might be perceiving something else. Your focus might be on something else entirely, depending on if, your moon and ascendant are different in different locations. So the sun, you're emanating, the moon, you're perceiving, and the ascendant, you're receiving these experiences in your life. All right, let's go ahead and start with the horoscope. So again, 2024 was about how to train your dragon. 2025 is about how to harness your snake. Exciting. All right, and with Uttarapada being in emphasis, this has been the time of the Cinderella Nakshatra activation, Uttarapada. That's why we are being told by our guides, by spirit, that dreams are meant to come true, because that is the energy. The divine just gives us what's happening. It already has a plan for you. And part of the plan is that your dreams come true. This is what we are moving towards and building. We have to build it first. All right, let's start with Aries. Aries, welcome to your 2025, early to mid 2025 reading. So starting out, we have Uranus in your first house. So I probably talked a little bit about this in your previous reading, but perhaps you've been going through a lot of rebellious and revolutionary shifts within you. And you're leading the pack. With Uranus having transited your first house since 2016, you are one of the primary leaders who's leading everyone else in terms of them feeling confident to start something new or try something different. So I feel like you guys, you Aries jumped into this head first saying, you know what, I'm ready for change. And I feel like you jumped into it very courageously around 2016, and you felt like things were really moving and shifting quite fast in your life with this Uranus being in your first house. But again, I feel like this makes you a really good leader and person to look up to. Just one thing to note about Uranus being in the first house, watch the ego. Definitely watch that ego, because Uranus makes someone very rebellious, and sometimes to the point of it being unnecessary. So just make sure you are sincere and make sure that what you're doing is for everyone's best interest and not just yours. This is about being rebellious, not for the sake of just being rebellious. This is about being rebellious for the sake of like bringing real transformation and change into your life or someone else's life, or helping them to activate that. With Jupiter being in Taurus, perhaps you've been getting a lot of assistance and help and blessings when it comes to your finances this past year, and you've found that your finances have been growing immensely. If you're going through this like Pluto transformation where you're purging and having to release, this has maybe been a bit difficult to be consistent and for you to manage, because as you're leveling up into higher states of consciousness, it's becoming less about the material for you. With Jupiter being in Taurus, this is about building a foundation of what you're truly valuing. So this has been 2024 and moving into 2025, you're still experimenting and you're learning for yourself, what is it that you truly value, what's important to you. You know, whether it comes to having a family or building a business, what do you truly value? And Jupiter just was transiting your first house at some point. So again, like you probably were feeling so optimistic about creating a positive future for yourself, and you were probably very much inspiring people. But with Jupiter now being in your second house, this is also the house of your voice. This is a really great time for you to talk to people, because you're inspiring them and you're helping them so much to believe in themselves. And with it being in Taurus, this is about giving people really grounded information and insight about what's working. Also, I want to mention with Uranus in your first house, you perhaps have been going through some very unique activation, spiritual experiences. You know, Uranus is the intellectual genius. So I think you've been getting a lot of inner upgrades within yourself about how things work, and your mind has been like working so quickly and so swiftly in terms of understanding things. And I think your communication style has been very direct as well in terms of helping people out, and I think continue to do that, because whatever advice you're offering to people, it's working and it's helping them to know so much about themselves. With K2, the South Node being in Virgo in your 6th house, so you've been also going through a lot of healing and perhaps taking care of your health. I always feel like K2 somewhat grants protection when it's in the 6th house, because it's about detachment. And the best way for us to feel so much more confident in ourselves is to detach from whatever else is going on in life. So perhaps that detachment at times has been helping you to detach from bad habits or poor routine habits that have not been helping when it comes to your work life or when it comes to your health life. And otherwise, if you're not taking care of your health and you're not being very intuitively connecting to your health in that sense and tuning into what advice you need, and you're resisting it or you're not taking that advice, then your health would be fluctuating quite a bit. So it's a really good time for you to just always take note, when do I want to give my energy to people and when do I not have that energy to give, especially with Rahu in Neptune and Pisces, because 12th house is a passive house. It's a very passive house. So this is the time where, you work and then you take long breaks, and that's what works for you. So I would say continue to do that. Work, take long breaks, listen to that attunement within yourself. But I think it also just grants protection when it comes to, with Rahu being in the 12th house and Virgo being in your 6th house, sometimes maybe this could create somewhat of a difficulties when it comes to finances, because it increases your financial debt. For example, it might increase that, or any kind of obstacles in your life, because Rahu is in the 12th house and Neptune is in the house of expenditures. So maybe there's more expenditures versus money coming in. But I feel like it might be somewhat balanced with Jupiter being in Taurus in your 2nd house. So it's like maybe things are like the money's sort of going out and some money's coming in, but it's balance as opposed to feeling like super, you're not feeling the most wealthy perhaps during this time. So just watch for that. Discipline is key here. With Pluto being in Capricorn in your 10th house, you've been going through a lot of powerful transformations when it comes to your reputation and when it comes to your life purpose or career. So perhaps you've been very much searching for that career, especially when Pluto entered into your sign around 2020. You decided, hey, I'm going to take a different approach to my work life. I don't want to do this anymore. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to create. Pluto is challenging you to think about your long-term goals and your long-term commitments. It doesn't want you to make half-hearted commitments. Ultimately, 10 years, 20 years down the line, you are solidifying a very powerful reputation for yourself, because Pluto is also the house of power. So it's granting you power, but it needs you to go through those constant transformations. So you're very much embodying, representing, and you're very much a role model for these transformations, because, with your first house, Uranus being in your first house and Pluto being in your 10th house, these are very visible houses where other people get to witness your growth or your shifts here. So a lot of people have been perhaps witnessing your transformation, and this is actually helping them to trust the flow of transformation in their life. So you guys are the pioneers. You guys are showing people how they can do it. You are exemplifying to people how they can go through these transformations. So continue to help people out when it comes to that. And definitely be up for the ups and downs and the unpredictability of those transformations, because that is what's needed for you. You're going to be going through a constant transformation, particularly as Pluto is transiting through Capricorn until 2040. This is going to be a continuous theme in your life, but it's going to pay off big time. So it's going to, like, leadership, high-ranking energies, like I'm telling you, 10 years, 20 years down the line, if you invest in this, you're solidifying a reputation or notoriety for yourself. And I'm not trying to build your ego. I'm just saying that's what the universe is trying to grant you. With Saturn being in Aquarius here and connected to Pluto in the 10th house, this is really great. I feel like you've been going through, you've been asked to really put yourself through discipline. You've been asked to become very disciplined with yourself in terms of how you're putting yourself out there. I'm getting a little bit of diplomatic energy. When people are in front of bigger crowds, they tend to filter themselves more. I feel like you've been learning how to filter yourself, the necessary filtering, still be authentic, still be you, Aries, and put your energy out there. But you've been learning what's a responsible way to communicate and connect with people. So your social reputation has been going up, and if there's anyone you're getting recognized by people who have a lot of respect for you, and who take their craft just as seriously as you do. So that's who you're attracting to you when it comes to your social reputation, and that's definitely feeding energy into your 10th house and helping people to link up to you. Sometimes the 11th house can be connected to the internet. Uranus too can be connected to the internet. This is a good time for your reputation to go through a growth spurt when it comes to the internet, because people are feeling very much connected to your energy, and they're feeling so much more respect towards you because of your discipline, because of your ability to take what you do genuinely and seriously sometimes, not always. With that Uranus in the first house, that helps you to be a comedian too. So you're not always taking it so seriously, but people respect you for how you're approaching things. So that's powerful. With Rahu and Neptune being in your 12th house in Pisces, I talked a little bit about this. So this is about expenditure, but it's also about psychic abilities growing. So you're going through a powerful transcendence, and that's why I said that you guys are the role models, because with you having these energies in visible houses or in the houses, like Neptune in Pisces is very comfortable in the signs or the houses they like, this is kind of helping the energy to be a lot more direct. All right. So as far as your transcendence go and your spiritual evolution goes, you're very much working with it and embracing it and allowing it to work through you beautifully. So you've been called into isolation too. That's why I said, rest is going to be important. 12th house can be the house of isolation as well, and rest. It's a really good time for you to listen to that, to listen when you need that rest, because you're healing immensely by allowing yourself to rest. Your intuitive abilities are increasing. your multi-sensory, multi-dimensional abilities are increasing during this time. So definitely listen to that. All right, I think that's it, Aries. Best of luck for early 2025. Hey, Taurus, welcome to your reading. All right, so the first thing we have is Jupiter has been transiting your first house. So perhaps you've been feeling a lot more optimistic about life, about yourself. You've been feeling a lot more of a desire to connect with people, to vibe with people, to put yourself out there. Your self-image is going through growth. Maybe your health is becoming you're becoming more vibrant, and your health is increasing as well. Jupiter and Taurus can be also indulgent sometimes, so just make sure you're not overindulging too much, because ultimately balance is key here. And I feel like that's an important reminder for you, is just balance, because Jupiter can make someone overly indulgent in how they eat or the lifestyle that they have, or maybe a heavy focus sometimes on the self. But I think this is fine. I feel like this boost is definitely what you're needing during this year, and it's going to continue on into 2025. This beautiful, optimistic boost. Jupiter is the planet of learning and wisdom, so you're learning a lot about yourself. You're learning about how to take care of yourself, and I feel like this is great in terms of helping people to understand. I feel like you're serving as an inspiration to other people to help them note what they can do to improve their health or to improve the quality of their life. With K2 being in Virgo in your 5th house, you've been feeling perhaps detachment around children, around maybe creativity, which is like with Jupiter aspecting your 5th house, though, I feel like that is also granting you a lot of creative abilities as well. Maybe hands-on stuff, maybe working with your hands is going to help you to feel a lot more attuned or more creative within yourself. But with K2 and Virgo, this creates a detachment from one focusing overly on oneself. So I was saying, with Jupiter and Taurus, or in the 1st house, maybe you're like, oh, I love myself so much. But with K2 having been in Virgo, this is helping to establish balance for you, where you're like, you know what, it's not all about me. I definitely, with Rahu being in your 11th house of networking, your emphasis is being put more on connecting and networking with people. That's where you're going to receive a lot of your growth spurts or benefits during this period, is connecting with others and networking with them. But yeah, a little bit of a detachment when it comes to your own personal desires, and more of an openness to collective desires and pursuits during this time. And K2 and Virgo is just also very good for healing, and healing maybe when it comes to either your connection with your children. Also, 5th house is a house of intelligence. So I feel like you're getting your intelligence through with Uranus being in your 12th house and Rahu being in your 11th house, you're getting, and Neptune being there too, you're getting your intelligence through like intuitive energy. So you're getting a lot of intuitive insights. Maybe you don't always know how to communicate it, because you're like, I don't know, like I'm feeling some things and I'm getting some things, but sometimes it's hard to ground these ideas and really understand like what it is I'm tuning into. And that's because it's just a time for you to connect to more of an abstract way of receiving insight, as opposed to being fixed on specifics, ideas, and information. So with Pluto being in Capricorn in your 9th house, you've been going through a powerful transformation when it comes to your spirituality and when it comes to your belief system. So you're going through a transformation in your 9th house. You're going through a revolution in your 12th house, and you're going through an evolution in your 11th house. So that's kind of funny. Again, I'm just being connected to like this sort of spacey ether energy is what's working out for you. You're being called to dig deep and ask those bigger existential questions about life and who you are. I think it's a really good time for you to journal and to just kind of take note of what it is that Spirit is communicating to you about this belief system. Like, what is the wisdom? What's the true wisdom of life? Like, what is the true wisdom? What's the true insight? Capricorn, I feel like always gives energy a high-ranking reputation. So maybe you're wanting to connect to this like really strong, deep insight of wisdom about like what works. Researching, reading is what's going to help you, I think, during this period of time. It's also a really good time. Maybe your father is going through a powerful transformation. Maybe you're being called to travel into far lands. With the 11th house being occupied and the 12th house, those are the houses of travel. So maybe you're being called to travel into foreign lands where you can learn more about yourself and feel so much connected to your identity and who you are. Maybe you're feeling a lot more like, oh, I relate to Indian culture, Hindu culture a lot more. I relate to Japanese culture a lot more. This feels more like home. But it's like a constant transformation you're going through. And I think it's a really good time for you to sort of travel and just explore different cultures. And you can gain a little bits and pieces of clarity in who you are by going through these travel experiences. With Saturn being in Aquarius in your 10th house, your career reputation or life purpose has been expanding or growing. You know, Saturn, obviously Jupiter is more of an expansion, but you know, Saturn is still the biggest planet, right? It's one of the biggest planets. So it's really giving you a huge boost in terms of you solidifying what it is that you want to do. And I think now's a really good time for you to get that clarity. And I think with you learning so much about yourself, with Pluto being in the 9th house of higher education as well, this is helping you to gain clarity on how it is you're wanting to be or put yourself, what kind of energy do you want to put out into this world? What do you want to create in this world? That's going to have a long-term healthy impact on your life. And I think that's what's been growing. So Saturn's in its own house in Capricorn. So this is a really positive experience in terms of you redirecting, making sure you're very disciplined in terms of your work ethic. I feel like you've been, Jupiter being in Taurus also makes someone quite hardworking as well. You've been increasing your work ethic during this time, and it's going to pay off down the road. But I think it's also just important to note to be authentic to you. So definitely find a way to realign your pathway so that you're doing something that's truly authentic to you and not just something you're putting a lot of work and energy and effort into. It's going to build you up if it's something that is helping you to feel so much more confident in yourself. Otherwise, it's going to feel like a waste of energy that you're dedicating if it's not in alignment with who you are authentically. We have here Rahu and Neptune in Pisces in the 12th house. It's a really good time to meet a lot of different people, a lot of creative people, maybe like spiritual leaders, spiritual people, communities, connect with people, and just a really good time to have really unusual experiences, collective experiences with people that you're meeting. This is also the house of desires. So perhaps certain desires have been granted to you during this time, dreams, and just out of the blue, things just sort of popping up for you. And wishes just randomly being granted. So this is going to be a continuous theme. Whatever you've experienced, like random things or blessings showing up, it's also going to be continuously showing up next year too. And I think Rahu in Aquarius is very auspicious for helping to bring blessings into your life. Lastly, we have Uranus in Aries in the 12th house. So there might be some unexpected expenditures that are just kind of showing up in your life when it comes to perhaps taking care of yourself or taking care of your health. That might be showing up. So there might be a little bit of unpredictability showing up when it comes to your health. But otherwise, this intellectual genius energy. Also, with Rahu and Neptune being this is like a creative genius energy. Again, I feel like you're going to get a lot of inspiration and creative juice flowing just by being around people who are also very creative and also feeling very inspired to create. Just hanging out with people is going to help you to feel really excited during this period. With your Uranus being in Aries though, this is giving you time to reassess the leader that you want to be, the revolution that you're going through within yourself. And it's, the 12th house is kind of passive, so it's sort of happening behind the scenes, but it's actually helping you to gain clarity on okay, this is what I really want. This is what I really care about. This is what's important to me. And I feel like when Uranus transits into Taurus, you'll feel called to activate and act on those revolutionary shifts that are happening inside of you. All right, Taurus, best of luck for your early 2025. Hey, Gemini. So this is going to be your reading for early 2025. So we have here, Pluto is in Capricorn. I talked about this in your last reading. It's in the 8th house. So you've been going through a lot of intense transformations. You are gaining access to occult knowledge, to your deeper essence, to your subconscious, to your deep fears. So perhaps you've been experiencing a connection to, so perhaps during this time you've been feeling a connection to those deep fears inside of you, and you've been facing a lot of those obstacles and fears. You know, Pluto being in Uttara Ashada makes you face obstacles, and you've been facing some of those deeper obstacles. A lot of them are illusionary. They won't manifest externally too intensely for you unless you're not facing them. Sometimes the 8th house is sort of a house of destiny, though. So this is where sometimes things unexpectedly or tragically happen in our lives, like a passing of a loved one or a loss of something unexpectedly. But whatever huge loss you might have experienced during this time has only been here to empower you, to grant you real, authentic power. And it doesn't get more real and authentic than Pluto in its own house, the 8th house. You are receiving the most authentic experience when it comes to power and what power actually is and what it represents. Pluto in Capricorn also stabilizes the energy. So, you know, this might be a loss around maybe career experiences that are happening to you, but it's not happening in a malicious way. Like, universe is definitely trying to grant you protection, but it wants you to learn some karmic lessons. The 8th house can be very karmic. It wants you to learn some very intense karmic, also Capricorn and Aquarius, they're just very karmic, Scorpio energy too. But it's helping you to learn these lessons so that you can feel so much more like strong. And I feel like with it being in your house of inheritance, this can down the line actually lead to you receiving a spiritual inheritance and windfall or blessing by the universe granted to you based off of you working on yourself and detaching from the material. And I feel like you have been on that path of like, I don't really care about, with like Jupiter being in your 12th house, you're not really focused on the material. Like you're not focused on trying to attach to it. You're more willing to go with the flow. And this is hugely working in your advantage in terms of helping to bless you down the line. With Saturn being in Aquarius in your 9th house, you've been asked to become very disciplined when it comes to your belief system. So that means that when it comes to perhaps insight that you're learning for yourself or you're sharing with other people, you're a lot more intentional about how you talk about things. You're not just, you know, talking about, sometimes Gemini energy can be quite random because it's information. But now you're being very intentional about the information you learn, you receive, you research, and you share with others. This is also providing you with the ability, sometimes Saturn in 9th house, I notice it makes people inclined towards religion. So maybe you've been going through a lot of shifts when it comes to your religious belief systems. But Saturn in Aquarius, it's in its own sign. It will incline you, especially with Pluto being Capricorn there, it will incline you towards authenticity. So maybe you're tuning into the most authentic wisdom and knowledge when it comes to beliefs. So you're finding yourself aligning with like really powerful beliefs that feel very authentic to what life is really about. You're learning what life is really about. And you're also learning, I need to take the time. Like maybe your belief system is becoming very intense and serious. And you're like, you know, I really have to put in sincere work. I can't just I can't make my energy vulnerable to anything. I actually have to decide and be intentional about what it is I'm choosing to believe because it's impacting my life. It's also a time, you know, with Saturn being in the 9th house, maybe you are called to do travels, long-term travels, or make long-term travel commitments to certain projects or experiences during this time. It could be a time where you're meeting a guru or a teacher who's been helping you to harness a stronger, like create a more powerful foundation and connection with yourself. Perhaps this teacher or guru, they've been quite strict, but they've been teaching you and giving you a lot of powerful insight to what works and what doesn't work. But if it's not a guru, then you are your own guru and you're being more strict and intentional with yourself. Your father also might be going through a stagnant period in their life where they're being asked to be very disciplined and put a lot of work into themselves and the kind of lifestyle that they're living. With Neptune and Rahu being in Pisces in your 10th house, I feel like this has been a huge boost in your reputation, and it's coming off as, it could be quite bohemian, it could be quite abstract. because Neptune sometimes makes us project onto people, and maybe people are projecting, with Rahu being there, their fantasies onto you, or their preconceived ideas onto you about who they think you are without it actually being who you are. And so this is a really good time to remember to be grounded and to stay grounded so that you don't attach your identity to what other people prefer you to be. And you're deciding for yourself, this is what I like, this is who I am, and I'm not going to let anyone decide who I am and what I like. So perhaps you've been feeling very powerful when it comes to that. But yeah, a really nice boost in reputation and career opportunities that are connected to spirituality, something very open-minded, connected to occult knowledge. Really good time for you to be building a reputation around creativity, occult knowledge, musical abilities. This is a really good time for you to build a reputation around that. With Uranus being in Aries. So this has been empowering you to be more of a leader to other people, because Uranus has been transiting Kritika. And this is known as, and it's a rebellious energy, so maybe people have been looking up to you as being someone who's a very rebellious leader who knows how to express themselves. Uranus is the intellectual genius, and you're an air sign. So I feel like you've been, people have been admiring your intelligence when it comes to how you communicate, how you think, your thoughts, your ideas. So a really great time for you to write, record this insight information, share it with people. Whether this is, Uranus can be the internet. So on social media, this is a good place for you to share your insight, because you're in alignment with the collective's viewpoints and what people are needing from you during this time. Uranus is also connected to our higher spiritual insight. So I feel like you've been getting powerful information from your higher self about the pioneering a new path for yourself and becoming the person you truly want to be, becoming a leader, becoming the leader you've always wanted to be as well. With Jupiter being in Taurus in your 12th house, this is a really good time. It's like mixed energy, so it's really great for wisdom and insight and just like connecting to that and grounding the information. So perhaps you're getting like very direct instruction about rituals to create for yourself around spirituality. And this is what's helping you. It's like something told you, hey, like grab this crystal or meditate like this, or, lay down like this, or drink this, eat this. So you're getting all of this insight and advice on how to take care of yourself, all of this intuitive advice on how to heal yourself, how to take care of yourself, how to grow your garden as well. When it comes to prosperity down the line, you're getting advice on how to grow your garden. When it comes to creating a spiritual business, you're getting a lot of insight and advice during this time as well. And so yeah, a lot of expansion there, but Jupiter in the 12th house can also create expenditures. So maybe finances felt like they've been difficult to ground for you, because a lot of your energy is going towards spirituality. Looking at this, a lot of your energy, like we got 9th house energy, we got Rahu Pisces, it's going towards creativity and it's going towards spirituality and your transformation. That the physical, it's not quite necessary for you to focus on right now. Like taking care of yourself, taking care of the basics, of course, but not being overly focused on building like this big successful business. It's a time to sort of experiment with trying different things. So that's your 2025, early 2025 reading. Gemini, best of luck. Hey, Cancer. So the first thing we have is your South Node K2 is in Virgo in the 3rd house. So perhaps you've been feeling less desire to just kind of do random things or to like have fun. It's a hobby house. So it can be a very random hobby house. It can be the house of communication. With Saturn being in your 8th house, I feel like you just haven't been as interested in like talking with people or engaging with people. You're actually being called to dig really deep with Saturn being in your 8th house, Pluto being a very deep energy in your 7th house, and Rahu and Neptune being in your 9th house. You're being called to do more research and deeper research about yourself and who you are and what it is you want to work on. So with K2 being in your 3rd house, you're being called to either detach from I would say superficial communications. Yes, I would say superficial communication and perhaps traveling, or perhaps maybe even a detachment that's happening around your siblings. Perhaps. I mean, Neptune's also looking at the third house, so I don't know. That's kind of like mixed energy because I feel like they're sort of sending. I feel like because Neptune can be very like spacey, very spiritual. I feel like it's sending the energy that your third house is creating because with K2 and Virgo being there, this is about healing. So there's healing that's happening around your third house. Perhaps your siblings are going through an immense amount of healing in their life. Perhaps you're healing your thoughts, how you think about yourself, how you talk about yourself. Third house is also the house of courage. Perhaps you're learning what actually makes you courageous, how to be courageous. With Pluto being in Capricorn in your 7th house, you've been going through a lot of perhaps challenges or transformations around relationship dynamics. So if you've been single for some time, this has been a really good time for you to rethink what it is you're wanting from a long-term commitment, either when it comes to a romantic partner or a business partner. Who are you wanting to pair yourself with? Who are you really wanting to work with? Because you're going to gain power. Pluto being in the 7th house, you're going to gain power from investing in the right people. You're going to lose power from investing in the wrong people. So Pluto is asking you to take accountability and be like, hey, are you just going to invest your energy into anyone, or are you going to be very intentional about who gets to have your energy during this time? Because whoever gets your energy, you're wanting to make an intense investment into that experience. And understand, Capricorn is very serious. It's like, okay, this is serious work. We cannot be frivolous here. We actually have to help each other out and make long-term goals to make this union a success. So you've been really challenged with that, with Pluto being in Uttarashada. If you've been in a relationship, you've been having to face obstacles, and perhaps your relationship status has felt quite unstable. And that's because you're just being asked to be authentic. It's not about, whether that person does what you want to do or doesn't want to do. It's like, who are you? What do you want to do? What really matters to you? And allow that transformation to happen. It's a time to purge. It's a time to heal. So allow all of that purging to happen. Perhaps if there is some sort of heartbreak that's happening around relationships, let that heartbreak happen, because it's only making you more powerful. You're going to become more powerful on the other side of this. And you're also going to attract to you long-term, strongly committed long-term partnerships as well. Pluto's also looking at your 1st house, so you're also going through an intense transformation when it comes to how you see yourself, your self-image, how you feel about yourself. And perhaps how you feel about yourself, a lot of that energy is going to how other people feel about you. And with you being a very heart-centered sign, this is a time for you to really think like, am I going to let someone else just decide how they feel about me and that decides how I feel about me? Or am I going to decide how I feel about me? But otherwise, there's a great potential to attract long-term, committed, truly devoted partnerships with people who are willing to do the work. This is not going to work for people who don't want to do the work. People who don't want to do the work, it's just not going to be your MO. It's not really going to work. You guys are not really going to vibe together because you want to put in the work. People who are willing to transform, people who are willing to change. If this person isn't willing to change, it's not really going to help you to evolve. You're being asked to evolve when it comes to your partnerships. Saturn is in the 8th house in Aquarius. Saturn does well in the 8th house. 8th house is about unpredictability. Saturn helps to bring stability because it slows things down. It slows, like if you're ill or just there's unpredictability that shows up, it grants protection. So like there could be like a sudden accident or sudden thing that happens in your life, but Saturn helps to stabilize it and it makes it slow and stagnant. Saturn in Aquarius also grants you intelligence and intellect in terms of how to deal with big transformations. So you're actually getting a lot of strong intuitive intellectual upgrades in terms of how does one transform. You're getting that insight, and it's a really good time for you to journal and take note of what's working for you. It might be hard for you, with the K2 being in your 3rd house of communication, for you to sometimes ground ideas, but I would say keep it simple. and just find certain practices that work well for you. The 8th house is also the house of occult and your psychic abilities as well. So you're being asked to be very disciplined when it comes to your spiritual work, especially with Rahu, Neptune being in the 9th house of spirituality as well. You're being asked to be very disciplined when it comes to, I feel like the 8th house is very much the house of the subconscious. You're being asked to be very disciplined when it comes to your subconscious mind, because it will be reflected into your outer reality if you're not thinking about your subconscious mind and the energy you're emanating subconsciously. So it's a really good time to just become very present and very aware of how you're thinking and what you're doing. Use yourself as an experiment. Study yourself. It's a really great time for that. Okay, so we have here Neptune and Rahu are in Pisces in your 9th house of spirituality. I think this is very auspicious for you developing your spiritual belief systems and you feeling really connected to source, connected to God, connected to divine. You feeling like, wow, I'm feeling so much more expansive in this wisdom. So it's a really good time for you to do that spiritual research, whether it's going on retreats, going to some sort of ceremonies of sorts, or like reading, whether it's the Bible or reading ancient texts of a sort. This is a really good time for you to consume that knowledge, because it's just helping you to feel so much better and attuned within yourself. Really great time for that. Really great time for research. Definitely dedicate your energy towards that. We have Uranus in Aries. This is in the 10th house. So perhaps when it comes to your career, reputation, or your legacy, you're going through a lot of different shifts in your life. And perhaps you've been feeling particularly rebellious about who you want to be, the leader that you want to be. And I feel like because, Pluto's in your 7th house, and we also have Uranus in your 10th house. These are very visible houses. So with this being a very visible house, what this is asking you to do is it means that people are seeing these shifts and changes you're going through. They can see it. It's actually manifesting to the physical form for people to understand what they're witnessing. You go through these shifts and changes in your life. So this is a really good time. Uranus is a rebel. It's a really good time for you to commit or dedicate yourself to a belief system that you truly believe in, an organization that you believe in, because you're serving. Universe has been using you as a leader, a rebellious, revolutionary leader that's helping people to think differently, to see things differently. So this is a really good time for you to give your ideas and insights to the public, to others who are needing help. The 10th house and even the 8th house can be connected to the government as well. So perhaps if you are working a government job of this sort, it would be actually a good time for you to experience growth. It's just somewhat unpredictable. So you have to go with that unpredictability. But again, there's this strong emphasis around your subconscious mind and the thoughts that you're thinking, going through a huge overhaul. You're being upgraded with new belief systems and ideas with Uranus. You're being granted a lot of ideas and how to pioneer a new path for yourself, particularly when it comes to your profession. So definitely listen to that quiet insight that's coming through. With Jupiter being in Taurus in your 11th house, this is a really good time for you to have been meeting people, perhaps meeting people that are quite creative, very productive, very hardworking. Those are the people who you are admiring the most and who are inspiring you the most, helping you stay motivated. Jupiter is the planet of blessings, and it's in the 11th house as blessings. So I think you've been receiving some material blessings in your life that have been helping you out. If you're being asked to level up into higher states of consciousness, this blessing is particularly showing up in wisdom, in the form of wisdom, sometimes coming from other people who are teaching you how to take better care of yourself, how to become very present. Taurus is a very present sign, so this is a really good time to learn how to become much more present. And maybe you're attracting to you people who are a lot more present, a lot more patient. And I think it's just a really wonderful blessing in terms of meeting people that help you who are productive, who are willing to not take shortcuts, who are willing to put in the work when it comes to building like towards their aspirations. Like perhaps you're meeting people who are building towards their aspirations. And these are the people you want to surround yourself with. So that's your early to mid 2025 Cancer. Best of luck. Hi, Leo. So this is going to be your 2025, early 2025 reading. So we have K2 in Virgo in your second house. So second house is the house of your voice. Virgo is a very communicative energy. So I think you've been feeling maybe more restricted when it comes to communicating to other people during this time. And maybe you feel like you've been called to detach from your material experiences. You know, with it being earth energy, earth house, and K2 being there, you're being asked to detach from your money or your resources and to just kind of trust that it's going to flow in when it wants to or when it needs to during this time. K2 in Virgo is also an energy of healing, and this is also the house of your immediate family. So this could be like your, relationship with your parents. So maybe you feel like you're going through a really powerful healing experience when it comes to your family and those you're connected to as well. And maybe the universe is also calling you to really commit to investing your time and your energy into building resources that are genuine, right? So investing into companies, businesses, or when it comes to building your business, investing into, I'm seeing like someone builds a, like when it comes to making products, perhaps when it comes to like hair products, instead of using chemicals, they're using ingredients that are a lot more natural. So you're being a lot more cognizant of what kind of ingredients or things you're promoting either to the public, to the people, or you're putting in your body. This is a really good time for you to become a lot more disciplined and just aware of what you're doing when it comes to that. So we have Pluto and Capricorn and Uttara in your sixth house of obstacles, in the nakshatra of obstacles, with the planet of obstacles. So you've been going through some intense obstacles. The universe is testing you, but you guys are very strong. Leo, I'm looking at that placement, and you guys are being called to really gain your own personal power from how you handle things behind the scenes or of inconvenience that are showing up for you. It's also the house of your routine life, and it's the house of your work life too. So if you're making sure to be disciplined and you're allowing your routine or your life, your day-to-day life experience to transform, you're going with the transformation, you're working with it, you're working with the unpredictability, you're working with the obstacles, and you're embracing it, and you're saying, all right, we're having obstacles, all right, I embrace it. Then it's only going to grant you more power and more blessings, more wealth, down the line. So you facing your obstacles is actually only helping to build you up and to actually help you to gain power. Like, I'm just getting this energy, like Pluto does well, I feel, in those hidden houses to me. Like in the sixth house, it feels a little hidden to me. So like the sixth house, the eighth house, and the 12th house, I feel like Pluto does quite well in these houses because those are the houses of like sometimes difficulties and unpredictability that we go through in our life. But I feel like when you're willing to face it, you actually become more powerful. And that's what life is about. It's about being able to handle the obstacles and take it on. Long-term wise, this is going to help you to stabilize when it comes to perhaps your financial debt or any kind of difficulty. This is going to be, even if you're going through a difficult period, like as you handle it more and more, you're actually only going to feel more and more powerful. So with Saturn being in Aquarius and also connecting to your sixth house of obstacles as well, perhaps your spouse has been going through a lot of challenges. Your spouse or your partners or your business partners have been called to like put in a lot of intense work and energy into wherever it is they're investing their time. Saturn actually does well in the seventh house. It grants someone, like if you're born with this, it grants someone a very disciplined spouse, someone who's more mature in their mindset. So this is a really good time for maturity when it comes to your relationship with your spouse, or your spouse is going through a maturation period for themselves where they're feeling a lot more confident and they're feeling like, you know what, I need to discipline myself. I need to actually think about where am I investing my time, my energy, and my resources. So I feel like you're going through it. Like the common theme for you is, how do I invest my resources? How am I investing my time? Am I investing in things that are worthwhile? Am I investing into things that are worth building long term? So long as you invest in things that you authentically believe in and you stand behind, it's only going to reward you beautifully. I mean, it's going to reward you beautifully. So yeah, maybe your partner, your relationship is going through some kind of challenge, because Saturn always, it grants someone challenges and karmic energies. If you're willing to overcome these karmic energies, then you will only thrive and be rewarded on the other side. And as Saturn transits into your 8th house, that's going to help to alleviate maybe your connection or your relationships with your spouse or your partner. It could also be a time where you attract to you a partner who is into commitment or who wants to commit, who's very serious. The thing is, with Saturn just being there by itself, it makes the energy very serious and very restrictive. So definitely think about that. Make sure you're connecting to someone who, Aquarius can be very open-minded. So make sure you're connecting to someone who you feel like is allowing you to be yourself. With Rahu and Neptune being in Pisces in your 8th house of transformation, unpredictability, inheritance, this is a really good time to get that strong intuitive insight. Your intuition is going through a huge growth spurt, and it's quite intense. You're maybe feeling really connected to the occult, deeper research. Maybe you're just really diving deep into things you never thought you would have, but it's actually helping you to learn so much more about yourself and to feel so much more expansive about the possibilities, is what I'm hearing. Like, you are tapping into this energy of unlimited possibilities. What can I do? What can I create? What kind of goodness can I spread about in this world? That's happening with your Rahu and Neptune being in Pisces. It's a really good time also for you to feel a lot more liberated. Maybe on the physical, you're feeling a bit restricted in day-to-day life somewhat, but when it comes to what's happening behind the scenes, you're going through so many powerful spiritual shifts within yourself that are actually helping you to detach and liberate yourself from things that do not work and connect to God, connect to source, connect to spirit, connect to the unseen. With Uranus being in Aries in your 9th house, and perhaps your belief system is feeling quite rebellious during this time. So you're feeling called to dig into those deeper, darker depths and commit to ideas or explore ideas that the public probably wouldn't approve of, or most people would be like, what are you talking about? That's weird. Or in the past, the older version of you would have thought, that's weird. Why would I want to do that? But this time around, you're like, you know what? I want to go there. I want to actually learn about Egypt or the priestesses or the priests. I actually want to learn about their power. I want to learn about how they think, how they do things, how do they, what actually helped their civilization to advance. It's a really good time for you to explore that. Lemuria is what I'm hearing. Galactic energies. Aliens, ETs. So we have Jupiter sitting in Taurus in your 10th house. So perhaps your reputation, your career reputation has been going through a expansion. So it's like, okay, maybe I'm not trying to work. I'm being called to kind of overcome obstacles and put work into myself, maybe even put work into my relationship and taking care of maintaining my relationship this time around. But I'm not really being called to put an obsessive amount of workload or fixation into working. But yet I'm being granted with blessings, or I'm being taken care of, or people keep offering me opportunities that are showing up. And that's because Jupiter is offering you blessings. So this is where all of your past karmic energies, if you've done good deeds towards people in the past, this has been a time where you've been rewarded, and you will continue to be rewarded moving through this year. You will continue to be blessed, and it will most definitely show up in the material, because the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th are public houses. So this is where people are seeing and they're witnessing these shifts and changes in you. And people are seeing an expansion in you, and perhaps even an expansion when it comes to your creativity, productivity, in terms of you building your reputation, you having this very expansive reputation to the public, very open energy. Yes, so that is your reading for the early 2025 Best of luck, Leo. I did it again. Hey Virgo, so this is going to be your energy for 2020, early 2025. So we have K2, it's been in your first house. So you guys are embodying and being called to embody the energy of healing. You guys have been very much impacted by healing. Let's just say like healing, becoming a healer, learning how to heal, especially with Rahu, Neptune being in your 7th house, looking at your 1st house. And Neptune can be about that spiritual evolution. So you guys have been going through a powerful evolution within yourself when it comes to the shifts and changes, but it's asking you to be quite passive. So it's like, don't take action, don't try to do too much, because you just don't have the capacity for it. With K2 being in your 1st house of your body, in your constitution, you just don't have the energy to give. You don't have a lot of energy to give to people like that because you just don't have it. This is the time for you to turn inward and to look into yourself and see, what do I need to do? How do I need to take care of myself, and what's going to help me to heal and feel a lot better? Yeah, and maybe this has been a time where, usually you're more intense about having a strict routine, but you haven't been as routine. With Rahu, Neptune being in Pisces, looking at your 1st house, you haven't been as routine. You've been more open to the unpredictability because you're just like, life is just pulling me in this direction, and this is the time to not be so rigid. Which is ironic because we got Saturn in your 6th house of routine in Aquarius. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. We have a Pluto sitting in your 5th house. So this is really great for going through a creative transformation within yourself. So perhaps when it comes to your talents and your abilities, you're learning so much about yourself in terms of authenticity and what you're capable of. Perhaps your children are going through a powerful transformation in their life. Perhaps your relationships to your children is going through a powerful transformation as well. But it could also be, again, children or creative projects. Also, your intellect is going through a powerful transformation where it's like you're going through a growth spurt in terms of things you didn't know before. Now you know it because Pluto's in your house of intellect. Your intellect is going through a powerful transformation where it's like before you had limited access to insight and advice, and now it's just like, whoa, I have access to a whole new world of insight and advice. And I have more access to understanding what my life purpose is. Pluto being in Capricorn, this is about life purpose. And it's through overcoming these obstacles that you're understanding, wow, this is my life purpose. This is the creative energy I want to embrace for myself. So I feel like I feel like this is kind of one of the more lighter Pluto placements, is Pluto being in the 5th house, because you're going through, you know how to channel it. So this is where you're channeling those deep transformative energy into something creative. If you channel it into something creative, you'll feel a lot more alleviated of any stress. So, Pluto, it can really test us, but with it being in your 5th house, it makes everything a lot more safe because it's sort of out in the open. You're just sort of exploring it creatively, and you're having more fun with your transformation. I would say out of all the signs, you're probably having more fun with your transformation. So children can be going through a shift, and your intellect is going through an evolution as well. Perhaps when it comes to education, you could maybe feel at times called to go to school, but I feel like Pluto makes someone more like rebellious when it comes to where you're getting your information. So I feel like you're re-educating yourself, or you're borrowing books, or you're accessing information that you're interested in. And it's personalizing the kind of education you're receiving during this time about yourself. So we have Saturn in Aquarius sitting in the 6th house. So Saturn in Aquarius is actually granting you protection. It's also granting you challenges. It's granting you challenges when it comes to your own personal transformation. Because Saturn, the 6th house is a house of obstacles, difficulties, could be like our work life, work routine. So everything feels a lot more intense or strict when it comes to work life, engaging with your coworkers, when it comes to routine life. When it comes to your health, sometimes things can be quite challenged. But Saturn is it's a huge, slow-moving planet. So to me, it also stabilizes it. And with it being in its own sign in Aquarius, it's sort of directing the energy in a very healthy way. So I feel like as far as your health goes, maybe you have been feeling a little bit more lethargic or slow, or maybe you've been feeling a lot more called to just like dedicate yourself to intense projects. With Pluto being in the 5th house, you're dedicating yourself to projects and just like, okay, I want to do this. I want to put all this energy into this right now. And then there are times where you just don't have the energy, right? You just feel like, okay, I'm just going to rest. So definitely make sure to rest with your Saturn in Aquarius. You got to be disciplined about when you give people your energy and when you don't give people your energy. It's a really good time to be disciplined when it comes to that. And Saturn, it's very karmic. So it's like, yeah, maybe you're facing some financial issues or financial debt issues, but after you go through this, you will be liberated. And Saturn will reward you. But right now you might be going through some karmic situations when it comes to either your health or when it comes to financial debt. So don't overwork yourself. Make sure you listen to when your body needs rest, and all will be taken care of. We have Rahu and Neptune in Pisces in your 7th house. So perhaps you've met people, like this is kind of a time where sometimes destiny, right? Rahu is about destiny. So this is a time where either you meet people you were destined to meet. So this is a really good time, I think, where destiny is really going to take a hold of. It could also just be people who have access to your energy. So destiny is going to be the deciding factor on who has access to your energy during this time. Because you are being called to have very specific connections or people around you during this time. With Neptune being there, the people that you have been feeling very connected with are people who are, or you've been drawn to, or people who are creative, mystical, spiritual, musical. This is what you've been feeling connected to, is this kind of community of people. I feel like this is a very, like, to me, with that placement of Rahu in with Neptune and Pisces, can be a really powerful time for you to make, like, to meet a partner, a life partner or connection. Or maybe there's been some sort of significant change when it comes to partnerships or relationships for you as of recently. Yeah, I think this is a very positive, auspicious time to meet people. So it could be a good time also to meet a business partner, a life partner as well. Otherwise, it's a really good time for you to reassess who it is, like what kind of, who are you open to meeting? Because I feel like, sometimes Pisces can be quite random, right? You just have to go with the flow of life. And it's the going with the flow that's going to align you with the people, whether it's a business partner or a life partner. It's going with the flow that's going to connect you with the people who are meant to be in front of you, who are meant to be in your life as well. But yeah, maybe you've been feeling connected to people, dating people during this time. I don't know, having a bit of an adventure, I would say, when it comes to relationships. So we have Uranus in Aries in the 8th house. So you've been going through a lot of intellectual upgrades when it comes to your intuitive insights and your intuitive abilities. You're getting access to occult, ancient knowledge, or information that I would feel for you, Virgo, it's a really good time to journal, to write down these insights, because you're getting direct access. Because I'm seeing Uranus in your 8th house is like an antenna, and it's sort of picking up on all of these signals and energies. Even Rahu and Neptune being in Pisces in your 7th house, you're kind of picking up on a lot of like collective psychic energies right now. It's a really good time for you to just like receive it. And it's coming to you in like sometimes very fun ways. Like this energy feels quite fun, quite lighthearted at times. And I mean, looking at this now, I definitely feel like you've been enjoying more of the transformation that you've been going through. Like you've been seeing some like cool, I'm hearing cool experiences. You've been having like really cool experiences and you've been sort of enjoying that. But maybe just when it comes to the material, you've been feeling a lot more restricted in terms of what you can do, because you are a hardworking, productive sign, but now it's like you have to work backwards because you're used to just putting in the day-to-day work to get to where you want to go. But this time you're being asked to go and dive within yourself, dive into your intellect, dive into your thinking, dive into your deeper personal transformation to get more of the outcome that you're wanting. We have here Jupiter and Taurus in your 9th house. So this has been perhaps a really good time for you to align with teachers, gurus, who have really good advice to give to you about how to live a better quality life. Jupiter and Taurus is very present. It's very present So I feel like this is very auspicious for attracting to the right teachers in your life who can give you powerful insights. So I feel like again, that antenna is spot on in terms of aligning you with people who are meant to align with you. And Jupiter being in its own house, it's you're loving receiving the advice. You're loving receiving the wisdom. You're loving receiving the learning. And with it being in Taurus, you are an earth sign. I think you're also enjoying sometimes the simplicity of how insight and knowledge comes to you. This is a really good time, Virgo, for you to just pay attention to your life. Sometimes I think the Rahu, Neptune, Pisces energy can be very tempting in terms of illusions and delusions, and you thinking, oh, I need to get lost in my imagination, which, 5th house is imagination, 8th house can be imagination too. But at the same time, I think you're finding a grounded approach to your expansion, and it's been powerful for you. Also, Rahu, Neptune, and Pisces can create delusions around people who you're dating. So this is a good time just to take note, because Neptune can be quite delusional. When Saturn moves into Pisces, that's actually going to be a better time to date, because you're going to attract to you. Saturn likes to be in the 7th house. It's exalted in Libra, and you're going to attract to you someone who actually wants to put in the work. Neptune, it's kind of here and there. It's a bit amorphous in its energy. And I think even Rahu there, it's not necessarily great for commitment, but it could be a good opportunity to meet someone. When you have something like a stabilizing energy like Saturn there, you can attract to you someone who actually wants to be committed. Jupiter and Taurus too, that's also very benefic, auspicious for meeting people, meeting a teacher, meeting a partner who wants to put in work. So yeah, I think March, April, that'd be a really good time, I think, to meet people for you. Yeah, so that's going to be your reading. Virgo, I hope you guys enjoy your early 2025. Best of luck. Oh, I did it again. Hey Libra, so this is going to be your reading for early 2025. So you got Pluto in Capricorn in your 4th house. So you've been going through a huge transformation when it comes to safety, security, psychology, family karma, karma around your mother as well. Your mental peace, perhaps you're psychologically been very challenged this year with your thinking because you're just going through these intense transformations. It's in a visible house of the 4th house. So your family members are probably witnessing you going through this, and that's been quite difficult for you. But so long as you continue to push through, it will grant you power. And Pluto in Capricorn, it's looking at its own house, Capricorn, the 10th house here. So this is actually granting you personal power, and this personal power is actually helping you to build reputational power. So it's actually going to help you to be promoted when it comes to how people see you. People are going to see you as powerful because you're working on yourself. You're making time for healing yourself and grounding yourself and feeling connected to and creating that mental peace within you, which is asking you to be more present and be more self-aware. With Saturn in Aquarius in the 5th house, Saturn is also looking at its own house as well across. It's looking at the 11th house here. So I think when it comes to your creative abilities, you've been quite productive. When it comes to creating things, making things, when it comes to your children, you've been quite disciplined. You've been committed to what it is you need to work on. And it's this karmic energy of overcoming those difficulties or those challenges, whether it comes to your creative projects or your relationship with your children. Facing that karma is what is actually helping Saturn to build a bank account of rewards for you. You're building good karma for yourself if you're putting work into these areas of your life. Your intellect is going through a huge boost. So the 5th house is the house of your intellect. That means you're not being impulsive about your choices or your decisions. You're actually making sure to stop, pause, and think and consider, how do I want to approach this? How should I do this? And so I think you've been very good in terms of navigating the pacing for what you need to do and when you need to do it. Also, yes, make sure I kind of said it, but make sure you devote and commit that time to your kids or your work, your creative energy, and just make sure you are sincere. So we have Rahu, Neptune in Pisces in your 6th house. So there perhaps been some challenges, obstacles that have been showing up. This could be a very productive house, but again, it's Pisces. Oh, sorry, no, I was thinking about Virgo. So it's Pisces energy. So this is asking you to take a much more detached, free-flowing approach when it comes to overcoming obstacles, when it comes to how you're in the workplace, when it comes to your routine life. You're allowing yourself to go with the flow a lot more, not be so strict about how you move through day-to-day life. When it comes to your work efforts, you're not being as strict with yourself. You're allowing yourself to just kind of like go with the flow of everything. Try this, do a little that. And that's what's working in your benefits. With Neptune and Pisces and Rahu here, it's also granting you, maybe you're feeling very intuitively connected to how you communicate to your coworkers, how you come up with a routine or a spiritual routine. Maybe your routine has been feeling very spiritual, maybe even meditating more and tuning into certain rituals for yourself that feel like very open and flowy with source. Maybe music has been helping you to feel a lot more connected to your day-to-day life as well. Yeah. So we have here, and it's also looking at the 12th house. So it's looking at its own house. And so I think in terms of your own spiritual transcendent and expansion, this is all coming through your day-to-day commitment and how you take care of yourself. You're going through a beautiful transformation and healing as well. And let's just go ahead and skip over here because I usually go in order, but let's just skip here to K2 and Virgo. So this is about healing. You've been called to do a lot of healing and hermiting behind the scenes. 12th house is a passive behind the scenes house because you've been going through a powerful healing and transcendent experience within yourself. And to me, with Rahu and Pisces, this energy feels very light. So it's actually helping to make your healing experience as pleasant and as gentle as possible is what I'm hearing. You're getting a very gentle and pleasant healing experience in your life right now. Maybe you feel like you're connecting to your past life gifts. Your past life gifts have been activated. Your intuitive abilities have been activated in a way that's just, you don't even know how you're doing it sometimes. You're just doing it. With Uranus in Aries in the 7th house, this is a time where you've been meeting some very interesting people and characters that have just been showing up in your life and maybe teaching you a thing or two about leadership. This could be also energy as far as like business partnership or romantic partnership. It'd be a time to like meet some random people, but not necessarily a time to meet the person because you want more stable energy there before you like really commit to a partnership. But it's a really good time to like meet people, learn about people. Your partner might be going through a lot of revolutionary, rebellious shifts in themselves where they're like expressing themselves in a very rebellious way. They're cutting their hair, they're dressing different, they're talking different because they're trying to, they're trying out different things to align with their true essence and their identity. And maybe this is kind of influencing you with it looking at your house, this first house. It's influencing you to change up things too. You're like, you know what? I should cut my hair too. I should do something different too. I should, so I think if you do have relationships in your life, they're kind of showing you, hey, maybe I should take risk too with myself and how I do things. Jupiter being in Taurus in your 8th house. So you're getting some powerful wisdom and learning upgrades when it comes to your transformation. So that means that you're getting very powerful insight and knowledge when it comes to the occult. So maybe you're getting access to occult knowledge. I feel like this is very much softening. It's softening the energy around the 8th house and it's expanding it as well. So when Jupiter, wherever it's sitting, it expands it. So Jupiter is expanding your 8th house of the occult. And I feel like it's brightening it up or it's bringing light to the occult. So when it comes to your deeper research or your shadow side or integrating your shadow side, I feel like you've been facing it head on and you've been taking it, you've been handling it probably more pleasantly than other people have been when it comes to their transformations. You're more willing to like go with it, make peace with it, and just work with it. Work with your transformations, work with your shifts. Jupiter and Taurus can be quite present as well. So this is a really good time for you. The more present you are, the more you receive. So the more still you are, the more you receive. The clearer the wisdom and the insight and the learning comes through for you as well. Your body may be going through some shifts and transformations as well, with Jupiter being in Taurus in the 8th house. And perhaps you've been getting some like random inheritance when it comes to finances, because 8th house is other people's money. So maybe other people have been giving you money, sending money your way, helping you out financially. Yeah. What else did I want to say about Jupiter in 8th house? So perhaps there have also been some unpredictable shifts that have showed up in the physical for you as well when it comes to finances, but just go with it. You're actually benefiting with Jupiter being there. You're actually benefiting from all of these transformations. They're actually blessing you. And you've been building, this is what I wanted to say, you've been building a very solid foundation for yourself, because Jupiter is in Rohini, which is about building a foundation. And you've been building a very solid foundation when it comes to your integrating your shadow here. Going through your dark night of the soul, perhaps. You've been integrating it, I would say, a little bit more gracefully than some people. All right, that's your early 2025 reading. Libra, best of luck. Scorpio, so Pluto is in your 3rd house in Capricorn. I talked about this before. I said that you guys have been perhaps feeling a lot more intense when it comes to your communication style. Perhaps your siblings have been going through a lot of upheavals, up and downs, and shifts in their lives as well. They're going through huge transformations in their life, spiritual transformations in their life. But this is, Pluto being in your 3rd house is teaching you how to overcome obstacles when it comes to your communication, how you talk to people. It's also activating your creativity. The more that you overcome obstacles, the more creative you actually feel and the more intelligent you feel as well. And you start to feel, wow, okay, now that I overcame that problem, this is how I can do it now. This is how I can approach it better or differently. Perhaps you're also being inspired to write about the occult knowledge or journal about the darker aspects of life. You've been feeling very inspired to talk about that. Maybe even a little gore. I don't know, that's another way it can show up. But like ghosts, like writing about ghosts, writing about like those like really interesting darker aspects of life too, is what's been inspiring you. With Saturn being in Aquarius, and it's feeding energy to the 3rd house as well. So you've been called to face some karma when it comes to safety, security, psychology, or family life, your relationship with your mother. Perhaps you're being called to, maybe some of you have been called to dedicate some time to your mother, your family, or in the home life where you've been having to put work into just being at home, taking care of your family, because you're going through some karmic shifts in this area, and it's actually teaching you how to be a lot more disciplined with yourself. You're being called to learn some lessons around family, safety, security, psychology, or your mother. With Rahu and Neptune being in Pisces in the 5th house, lots of creative ideas, phenomenal, really great for that, really great for creating anything. And I think putting it out there, so it's like whatever you want to create. I remember talking about your sign and saying that you guys had a lot of creative energies that were coming through. When Saturn comes into Pisces, that'll be a good opportunity for you to ground it. But Rahu and Neptune is a really good opportunity for you to experiment when it comes to your creative abilities, or when it comes to your creative intuitive abilities. So perhaps you're just like grabbing a paintbrush and you just like something just tells you where to put the paint, how to put it, how to use it. So this is a really good time for you to just express yourself, to learn how. I feel like Pisces in the 5th house is the best combination when it comes to creativity. It's one of the best combinations when it comes to being able to be very creative and experiment when it comes to all kind of talent. So I think a lot of your talents are being activated during this time. So Neptune is also the creative, beyond being the creative genius, it's also the spiritual evolution that you're going through within yourself. So maybe you're feeling like, I really want to like be very spiritually evolved in how I express myself and how I show people who I am, and this is feeling very authentic. But Rahu to me can be a little delusional, so when Saturn moves there, you're going to feel a lot more grounded in your expression. But right now is a really good time for you to experiment and try out different things. But this is a really good time for you to activate your creative energies. A really great time to activate your gifts and activate your intellect, your intuitive intellect as well. We got Uranus, speaking of intellect, we got Uranus in Aries in the 6th house. So I think intellectually you're getting a lot of interesting insights and upgrades when it comes to overcoming certain obstacles. 6th house could be about obstacles, productivity, work life, health. So it's like whenever you're going through like these weird shifts around your health, sometimes things just like unexpectedly showing up, something intuitively is telling you what to do to take care of yourself. And so long as you listen to that intuitive advice, or perhaps, sometimes like a book or a post where someone's talking about exactly what you're going through, like random things keep showing up for you where you're learning how to take care of yourself better. And I feel like this is information you can store for later use as well. Perhaps you've also been called to be more of a leader when it comes to the workplace as well. And you've been feeling more of a rebellious leader. So your, sixth house is about routine, and you're feeling like, I want an unpredictable routine. I don't want to have to go to work and do a 9 to 5 every day. I want, some days I come in early, some days I go in late, some days, you're preferring a little bit more of a unpredictability in your day-to-day routine life. And I feel like as long as you permit yourself to go with it, it will work in your benefit. With Jupiter being in Taurus in your 7th house, perhaps you've been feeling like you've been receiving blessings when it comes to your partner, your partnerships, or this is also a good time to meet someone as well, or to really think about or meditate on the kind of partnership you want. Jupiter is about learning and wisdom, expansion, so this is a really good time for your partner to reflect onto you things that help you to know more about yourself. So maybe your partner is inspiring you, teaching you, showing you how to be a better person, what works, what doesn't work. They're helping you to give you that wisdom that you need, or that insight that you need. It could be a romantic partner. This could also be a business partner who you've been feeling very blessed by, who's been helping you and assisting you and guiding you as well. Perhaps you're also building more of a solid foundation when it comes to your partnership, either when it comes to a future partnership that you're moving towards, or when it comes to your partnership that you're currently in. You guys are learning how to solidify your goals with one another and learn how to be very consistent and methodical when it comes to investing into your relationship. Yeah, very beautiful. Jupiter's also looking at your 1st house. So I feel like this grants you energy, it grants you just blessings when it comes to how you're feeling about yourself. You're feeling like expansive and more optimistic. So we have K2 in your 11th house of social network. So perhaps you're preferring just to connect with your partner, your family, not as much to like crowds of people or collectives, or maybe not as interested at being on the internet. You're feeling like being called to more isolation, spending more time by yourself during this time. And I would say definitely listen to that instinct as well. There's also like powerful healing that's happening around your social network. So maybe you're around a lot of people who are healing and who are like going through things, but they're working on themselves, which is a great thing. Otherwise, you're just preferring to spend more time by yourself. And you're not feeling called to like do grand things right now, like go on vacations or travel right now. You're just kind of preferring to stay at home. Yet at the same time, you're preferring to spend some time cocooning and spending some time indoors. Yeah, but 11th house is the house of aspirations, right? So aspirations are desires. So you're feeling actually quite detached, or the universe is calling you to detach from your desires. It's saying detach from it, because you don't need to fixate on what you want to get it. You're just going to get it. With Saturn in Aquarius and looking at your 10th house, it's looking at its own house as well. I think there might be, like, if you are in front of people, your reputation is growing in terms of you being very disciplined, you being very particular about, making sure to get the work done, taking it seriously, and people are admiring and respecting you for that. And ultimately, like, once you are able to heal this karma that you're experiencing around your 3rd house and your 4th house, this is going to actually help to pay off in terms of building your reputation in the 10th house. All right, best of luck, Scorpio. Hi, Sagittarius. So this is your early 2025 reading. We have Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house. I talked about this before. You may be going through a lot of transformations around security and money, finances, making money. Perhaps making money has felt like challenging or unpredictable as of lately. and you're having to try different things or different ways of making money that you haven't before. You're having to evolve to the next level in order to access your resources. You're having to align with your true life purpose to access your resources. And you're having to overcome obstacles when it comes to accessing your resources. You're also just going through a lot of powerful shifts when it comes to building new foundations or realigning, reassessing your value system. What do you value? This is going through a huge transformation right now. And Pluto is asking you to detach away from being overly materialistic and instead focus on valuing the wisdom that you're being called to gain, valuing the experiences that teach you about who you are and what you are. So we got Saturn in the 3rd house in Aquarius, and it's also granting energy towards the 2nd house as well. So there's again that same theme of restriction or stagnancy coming to your resources. So Saturn in the 3rd house sometimes slows down the intellect, or it makes you or requires you to become very disciplined when it comes to your intellect, when it comes to how you're thinking, how you're processing. So some days I feel like sometimes words are hard to come by, like you're having a hard time processing what it is you're experiencing or what it is that you're thinking, particularly when it comes to your communication, right? You're feeling very particular with Pluto and Saturn around how you're communicating to people, how you're talking to people. You're instead taking a much more Saturnian approach to it. So perhaps communicating about very serious things, communicating in a more serious, grounded way, communicating about things that are dedicated to humanitarian work as opposed to just being about you. Also, Pluto in the 2nd house creates karmic energy, healing that you're needing to do around your immediate family. So this would be your parents, the family that you were born into. You're going through a lot of powerful karmic shifts. But I'm hearing lineage, breaking the curse in your lineage, breaking the ancestral patterns of your lineage. This is what you're being called to do during this time. You're powerfully breaking those limitations and old, outdated ancestral patterns when it comes to your lineage and when it comes to your family as well. So your siblings might be going through a growth spurt when it comes to, or a challenging lesson when it comes to work and discipline in their life as well. They're becoming a lot more serious and dedicated to and committed to their process or their long-term legacy, what they really want to do, what they really want to create in this world. But it's also a good time, I think, to access your talents, your creativity, and be very disciplined with your creative abilities as well. Rahu and Neptune being in Pisces in the 4th house, this to me is pulling you into this more introspective energy where you're wanting to spend time alone. And with Rahu being there, you're actually enjoying it. You're enjoying your vacation days or your off time. You're enjoying your downtime. You're flowing with it. You're going with it. You're enjoying it because Neptune's there. So this is like creating sort of like a very spacey, peaceful, flowy energy. You're very much enjoying that. And I think with Rahu and Neptune being in a water house and a water sign, that definitely helps to bring a lot of blessings or peace to the home. Sometimes a little unpredictability because Rahu can be like unexpected shifts happening. Like whether you're moving houses or you're renovating your house, it could ask you to do that. But ultimately, the home life is becoming more peaceful. It's becoming more peaceful because of that's what you're being granted. You're being granted peace when it comes to your home life. But it's also asking you to end certain cycles. You're being called to end certain cycles when it comes to, again, psychology, security. I didn't say this the first time, but your relationship to your mother, divine feminine energy in your life, safety, security, the home life. And it's asking you to truly identify what home really is. And home is the heart, right? Home is the heart. So whatever external reality you're going through, you're learning to let it go and detach from it and say, this isn't home. This is home. What's going on in here? This is home. So long as I feel secure, I feel content. Powerful lesson you're going through right now. You're probably also feeling very creative in the home. So during this time, you're feeling really creative when it comes to being at home, feeling really inspired, perhaps making music, making things, decorating your home. as well. This is what you're feeling very inspired towards. Maybe when it comes to home decor, you're feeling inspired to create a home decor brand. Like, oh, how would I create this, and maybe I could sell this to people in the future, sell this product of some sort to people. Yeah, and I feel like being in the home is actually helping you to evolve within yourself as well. Being still, being grounded, being still. With Uranus being in Aquarius in your 5th house, you're getting a lot of creative, intellectual genius ideas when it comes to your creativity. And with Aries being there, you're kind of a pioneer when it comes to creativity. You're able to kind of come up or channel ideas that people haven't done before. So you're channeling some very like new, innovative ideas when it comes to your creative abilities. And this is a really good time for you to pioneer a different way of doing something, a different modality is what I'm hearing. So with Uranus being there, maybe your children are also going through revolutionary, rebellious shifts in their life as well. And by the way, also Rahu calls attention to your mom, right? Maybe your mom's also going through an evolution in her life and a spiritual, everything spiritual, but it's a particularly distinct spiritual evolution in her life during this time. Uranus can be in your 5th house, can be bringing rebellious, revolutionary shifts when it comes to your children. So maybe your children are feeling like very rebellious in terms of how they want to express themselves, what they want to do. Yeah. And also when it comes to your education, I think you're just getting a lot of really just cool, out of the blue ideas and insights about how you want to do things, how you want to approach things. And you're just going with your gut instincts. With Jupiter being in Taurus in your 6th house, this is about overcoming obstacles. And I feel like Jupiter, even though it expands it, there can be some unpredictability when it comes to your health. But to me, with it being in a very healthy, earth-grounded sign, I feel like your health has been improving during this time. This is a really good time for your health to improve. And for, when it comes to those difficulties, maybe some difficulties have showed up, but you're able to overcome those difficulties because Jupiter is granting you blessings when it comes to financial difficulties, physical difficulties, showing up in your life. When it comes to your work situation, Jupiter is helping to grant you blessings there too in overcoming it. So yes, there might be obstacles, but somehow they're being taken care of in a way that's very graceful. So with K2 being in Virgo in your 10th house, when it comes to your career reputation, you're going through a huge healing around this area. So maybe your reputation is that of someone who wants to heal, who's more focused on healing. Maybe people are seeing you as the healer. Maybe you're actually tuning into your career purpose or your life purpose of being a healer. With Virgo being in your 6th house, you're destined to be a healer. Like, you're destined to help people to heal. You're destined to help people to purify. So this has been a time where perhaps you are like pulling back from putting yourself out there every day and all day, but you have this reputational energy of a healer. Your energy is very healing, very peaceful for people to be around. Yes. And you're also being asked to detach away from focusing on your reputation, focusing on your career pursuits, and just focus on being at home. Focus on just downtime right now. So that's your reading for early 2025 Sagittarius. Hey Capricorn, so this is going to be your early 2025 reading. We got Pluto that's been in Capricorn in your 1st house. I know I already talked about this, but I'm going to go over it again. You've been going through some powerful transformations and shifts within yourself, or you're learning more about yourself. You're learning more. You've been faced with a lot of difficulties and challenges. It could be when it comes to your health, when it comes to your constitution, when it comes to your self-image. You've been having to face certain obstacles and overcome difficulties, but you guys are you guys are quite humble at times, and you guys, I feel like at times have this ability to just push through without complaining. And that is a very admirable trait by you, Capricorn. But you have to also work on that inner dialogue you're having with yourself and how you're thinking. So it's like maybe you're not externally complaining about things, but Pluto brings up a lot of subconscious fears and desires about how we process things. And perhaps you're learning that you had some subconscious beliefs that were not working in your favor. With Rahu, Neptune being in Pisces in your third house, this is actually helping you to think in a more flowy way. Like it's allowing you not to attach too much to your thinking process. It's allowing you to just be like, yeah, I kind of think like this and then I don't think like that. You're kind of flowing in and out of certain belief systems for yourself, or ideas or thoughts in yourself. You're allowing it to flow a lot more, but you are having to process subconscious fears and desires when it comes to yourself and how you see yourself. And so long as you process that, the karma that you face here, maybe when it comes to your reputation, people like being really hard on you this past years, people have been hard on you, they've been very much challenging you, but it's granting you personal power. Pluto is granting you personal power. So the more you overcome the obstacles and you say, you know what? In spite of what anyone has to say about me, I believe in myself. The more you keep doing that, you keep pushing through, the more power you gain. So out of all of the signs, with Pluto being in your first house, you are gaining the most personal power in terms of developing yourself and just feeling more attuned. And this power has nothing to do with anyone else. It's all about you and how you feel about yourself. So with Saturn being in Aquarius in your second house, there's been perhaps some stagnancy or restriction when it comes to your finances. So making money has been slower. It's been a slower process as of lately. It hasn't really been coming in. Maybe it's asking you to be very disciplined when it comes to making money. You're having to be very sincere, right? We're not focusing on just building our assets and our resources. Now we have to think about, what are we actually dedicating ourselves to? Is this a product or an organization I believe in? Aquarius can be an organization. Is this an organization I'm actually committed to? Is this an organization I believe in? If it's not, then it's not going to work in my benefit. If it is, it can. So continue to overcome those obstacles, and at some point, Saturn will most certainly help to bless you when it comes to your resources. You may also be going through some karmic energies when it comes to your immediate family. So this would be your parents. And so long as you're facing this karma around your immediate family, you'll be able to move through these obstacles. But Saturn also challenges your health. This is sometimes what we're eating, what we're ingesting, what we're putting in. Make sure you are being disciplined with that, because Saturn is calling you to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, it will make your life harder. So with Rahu being in and Neptune being in Pisces in your third house, your communication style perhaps has been more flowy, a lot more, maybe you've been communicating more to people, writing more to people as well. And this writing, or you processing your ideas and thoughts, is helping you to feel a lot more inspired. This is also activating your talents. So whatever talents that have been dormant, it's been coming out of the closet since 2022, Neptune going into Pisces. You feel like maybe you've been singing more. So you've been like, I can sing, or maybe I like singing more. And I think singing is something that a practice you can use to help you to feel so much. It's a practice you can use to help you to feel a lot more aligned within yourself as well. Yes, so maybe when it comes to your siblings, so this could be like younger siblings, they're going through some interesting shifts in their life, or maybe like even spiritual evolutionary shifts within their life. Maybe you're also communicating in a way that feels like very spiritual, very attuned, very like peace-giving energy. Perhaps you're communicating in that way, or you're writing in that way. This would be a good time, if you were an aspiring writer, this would be a good time to write your stories. This would be a really great time to write stories, get inspiration for your stories. So we have Uranus and Aries in the fourth house. So your home life perhaps has been a little bit unpredictable. There's been like revolutionary shifts. It could be like a renovation or moving you've been experiencing. Since 2016, maybe your home life has been like a little shifty for some time. But with Uranus being in Aries, this is calling for you to be a leader in your home. It's asking for you to be more direct about running your home. And it's also giving you some intellectual inspiration for what you can do to run a smoother home life. So whatever ideas that you're being given, definitely make use of that. With Jupiter being in Taurus in your 5th house, your kids perhaps are experiencing blessings. Perhaps your kids are having kids, or you're feeling very inspired to create, to either be very generous. I'm hearing generosity. Perhaps you've been very generous with your resources, your time, your energy. You're giving to people. You're giving good energy to people. You're helping people out. And perhaps this has served as a boomerang effect for blessings coming back to you as well. Yeah, so expansion in wisdom, learning, your intellect, excuse me, and also expansion when it comes to your value system. So perhaps your value system, or your kids even, they're going through an expansion in their value system, what they truly value, what's important to them. Very, very healthy energy to have in 5th house. And I think it's a very pleasant energy, very benefic energy, auspicious energy for experiencing blessings and just having creating joyful memories. So this has been time for you to create very joyful memories with family, with your kids, and yeah, just make you feel good. 5th house is the house of our heart, as is your 4th house is the house of our heart too. So it's a really good time for us to feel so connected to our heart and what makes us feel joyful. I'm hearing joy. So this is a really good time for you to learn and gain wisdom on how to create joy. Maybe it has more to do with just being there, being present. Lastly, we have K2 in Virgo in the 9th house. So you're going through a powerful healing experience when it comes to your 9th house. This is about your belief system. Your belief system or your connection to spirituality is going through a beautiful healing experience where maybe you're repairing your relationship with the divine. You're repairing and you're trusting the divine more. With you being Capricorn, you can be very practical, but maybe now you're feeling like, you know what? I'm going to trust the universe. I'm going to believe in the universe so much more. During this time, you may not be called towards organizations like churches or religious experiences, but you may be called more towards your own personal spiritual experience of what works best for you. And it's a bit unconventional, unusual. It's about you diving into your own spiritual research. This would be a good time to just do your own spiritual research and you to learn for yourself what's interesting to you and not rely on a teacher or an organization to help you gain that wisdom. So that's your early 2025 Capricorn. Best of luck. Hey Aquarius. So for your early 2025, we have Saturn in Aquarius in your 1st house. So perhaps you have been feeling quite stagnant, either when it comes to your own personal energy, your health, your constitution, or when it comes to movement in your life. You've been actually called to be more still and disciplined when it comes to yourself and the energy that you're emanating in day-to-day life. But this is also giving you a reputation, people are seeing you and they're seeing you as someone who's maybe more disciplined, maybe more strict with themselves. How do they take care of themselves? Someone who's more serious. People are taking you more seriously because you're taking yourself more seriously during this time as well. So Saturn can be very karmic energy. You're being called to put in work into yourself and taking care of yourself and reevaluating your belief system when it comes to how you see yourself, how you think about yourself during this time, because Saturn is putting that pressure on you when it comes to your thoughts and your thinking. How do you you're feeling very pressured maybe sometimes by the pessimistic thoughts that are coming up in your head or the cynical thoughts about life that are coming up in your head, and you're having to push through that. So Saturn might be putting that pressure on you, but it's only building you into the leader that you're meant to be. With Rahu and Neptune and Pisces in your 2nd house, so perhaps when it comes to your values, when it comes to your resources, you've been blessed or you've been magically, unpredictably taken care of by the universe time and time again, where things just sort of show up for you. But you're also having a hard time grasping, okay, how do I make money? But you're coming up with great ideas. So this has been the year, and 2025 also will be the year where you're coming up with great ideas on how to make money, what works for you, and perhaps you're using a much more creative approach. You're feeling very creative and inspired in your approach when it comes to making money. And Neptune, Rahu, and Pisces makes you very intuitive. So you're intuitively just knowing, and even Pluto in your 12th house of intuition, Ketu here in your intuition house, and Uranus in your third house of thoughts, you're getting a lot of intuitive insights on how to make money, how to live your life, how to create a better quality life for yourself. So definitely listen to those deep insights that are coming through to you on how to live your life. So with Rahu being in your second house in Pisces, there might be some karmic situations or things you're having to deal with when it comes to your family. Perhaps your family, your parents have gone through a lot of interesting shifts. Perhaps someone has passed away in your life recently, but it's actually only there to help you connect more to your spirituality and help you connect more to the divine and divinity within yourself. This is also a good time to take note of what you're eating. Sometimes Rahu, we just want to try out all kind of different things. Even Neptune can be delusional, but definitely make sure you're being responsible with what you're ingesting into your body so that you take care of it. And you feel, because even with Saturn in your first house, like your health is going to be a bit sensitive during this time. With Uranus being in Aries in your third house, this is about you being able to intuitively connect and communicate like a leader, communicate these strong and powerful insights that people are kind of looking at you, thinking to you, like, how do you know that? Like, where did you get that idea? How did you know that was going to work? That was exactly the advice I needed to hear. Or maybe you're guiding a group of people and they're looking up to you and they're like, wow, this is really great advice. Thank you for helping me out. So this is a really good time for you to either in writing or through communication, social media or online, communicate your ideas to people and get that out because people want to listen. They want to hear and resonate with what it is that you have to say. Hey Aquarius, I'm back. I had to make some space. So I think we were talking about you getting those intellectual upgrades with Uranus being in your third house. And this is actually helping you to communicate very effectively. You know, Uranus is connected to Aquarius. So when it comes to your intellect and how you're communicating to people, you are spot on. Your antenna is strong in terms of what the collective needs to hear, how people can be inspired, how you can inspire and inform them on what's going on, what kind of revolutionary shifts. So you're helping to lead the revolution in terms of your communicative abilities and helping people to inform people how they can revolutionize themselves, how they can change their life for the better. So with Jupiter being in Taurus in your fourth house, this is actually granting blessings towards your home life. And it's actually granting stability. So perhaps when it comes to your home life, you've been quite blessed. Things have been working out with you feeling at peace at home and enjoying, maybe even going through like renovations, or you moved into a place where you feel like, oh my gosh, this feels so blessed. Jupiter likes the fourth house because it's exalted in Cancer. It likes that energy of like this security and safety when it comes to emotions. So I think you've been feeling a lot more, you've been learning how to build and cultivate emotional stability within yourself, feeling very at peace. And you've been getting a lot of learning and wisdom from being still, being at home, and appreciating your home life, appreciating the simple things in life is actually helping you to feel very content during this time. Blessings may also be showing up when it comes to your family and your home life as well, or your mother. Blessings may be coming through when it comes to that. Your mother may be going through an expansion in her life. Maybe you're also going through some physical upgrades when it comes to what wants to come into your life. Jupiter in Rohini is about building foundations. So your Jupiter is in the house of foundations, and it's in the nakshatra of building a foundation. So you've been building a very solid foundation when it comes to your heart, when it comes to your belief systems, when it comes to your values. And I think people are looking at you like, wow, this person, their value system is very solid, and this is teaching me more about myself. With Jupiter in your fourth house aspecting the 10th house as well, again, really good time for you to connect with communicating your ideas and insights, because you can be the guru and teacher that other people need in their lives. All right, we're almost done. I had to take about a 20-minute break to make space. I had some issues with some settings. We are almost done. So I talked about Jupiter in your fourth house. It brings blessings when it comes to, it could be purchases, vehicle purchases, or home life. But if you are evolving into a higher state of consciousness, you're being called to work through your value system and building a solid foundation when it comes to your value system. And with Pluto being in Capricorn, in your 10th house, Pluto being in Capricorn in your 12th house of expenditures, you could be going through some powerful transformations in this house that's making it more difficult to access the material experience, because Capricorn is the height of the materialism. So it's like maybe we're able to kind of make money, but are we able to keep it as much if it's not being directed towards like our home life or our necessities? Perhaps not. Also, I think I was mentioning that Jupiter aspecting your 10th house makes you a teacher or guru for other people to look up to listen to. And with Pluto and Capricorn in your 12th house, you're receiving some really powerful intuitive insights, powerful wisdom, learnings, and insights for how that's helping you to transform. So you're learning how to transform, and it's also teaching you how you can help other people to go through their transformative experience as well, for them to embrace transformation, for them to embrace the unpredictability. And perhaps you're also being called to be of service to people during this time, or more importantly, commit to being of service to yourself, helping yourself to heal. It's a very, Pluto is about healing, and it's a very healing energy sitting in your 12th house. And even with K2 and Virgo being a healing energy, again in the 8th house, about transformation. There's a huge theme around going through a deep inner transformation. Behind the scenes, we got 8th house, 4th house, and 12th house, all about behind the scenes. Going through an internal healing transformation behind the scenes that's helping you to transform into the person you're meant to be. And this is actually helping you to gain power when it comes to your personal spiritual shifts, your spiritual pursuits in life, or your spiritual essence. You're also getting tuned into your past life gifts here with 8th house and 12th house. You're accessing past life gifts, occult wisdom, and insight on how to heal. This is also a good time to experiment with different modalities of healing, because you're getting strong, powerful insight. Virgo being also like a communication sign of Mercury, you're getting a lot of communication internally within yourself that's helping you to heal. You're also healing very powerfully your subconscious fears and desires here with K2 Virgo in your 12th house. You're healing a lot of your subconscious mind set. And perhaps in the past where you were overly critical yourself, you're learning how to loosen the reins, loosen your hold on the reins, and trust a lot more. So that's your 2025 reading, Aquarius. You're the last one, last sign. So I think I already talked about Neptune being in your first house, with Rahu being conjunct Neptune in Pisces. In your first house, this is giving you mixed results, and I did mention this in your previous reading too, because it could expand your reputation immensely. It could make people desire to be with you, want to connect with you, want to vibe with you, because it's building up your self-image. So Rahu sometimes gets us very involved in our ego, and it could be very illusionary, because it could tell us we're doing something for the right reasons, and because it's like, well, this is what I want, without thinking about the consequences of those choices. So sometimes we're like so self-obsessed into certain goals or things that we're wanting for ourselves, and Rahu can challenge that. If you're sincere, it's fine. If you're doing things because you want to help yourself or other people, it'll work in your benefit. But if you're doing things that are just selfish or self-motivated, there will be consequences, or an unfolding of consequences for you. So Neptune being in your first house, this is, attracting energy to you where people sometimes are projecting onto you. And they could be projecting, with Rahu being there, they're projecting maybe this idea that you're a great leader, that you are a great person, or whatever. They're having all of these ideas in their heads about who you are. And sometimes it's just not accurate in terms of your character. Like they might have a high opinion of you, but maybe it's coming from what they think you're about. Like they're like, oh, well, you're always this and you're always that. So there can be some kind of confusion that you're facing when it comes to your self-image and how you put your energy out into the world. Maybe you're feeling as though people aren't accurately gauging your true character or seeing you. They're seeing an idea that appeals to them, right? They're seeing an idea that appeals to them. They're seeing what appeals to them. They're not actually seeing you. And so that's a challenge for you, Pisces, where sometimes people are majorly projecting onto you, and they're coming up with assumptions about who you are. Sometimes they're good assumptions, sometimes they're not good assumptions. But either way, it's an assumption as opposed to the accurate reality, because Rahu can make something very glittery. It can make something very shiny, right? So it's a good opportunity for, abundance in terms of building yourself up. It's a good opportunity in terms of getting more notoriety or attention when it comes to like your business or your reputation. But it poses challenges because there's like major projections that people are putting onto you. Your health may also be fluctuating because we got Pisces, we got Neptune there. So your health might be fluctuating quite a bit as well, because it's going according to collective energies, people around you, people who are influencing your energy, and then your thoughts. Sometimes if your thoughts are too inconsistent, or you have a negative self-opinion about yourself, it can really wear on your energy, wear in your constitution. So you gotta be careful because you're very plugged into the collective energies right now, and it's very watery, which means that you're feeling sometimes not just your own emotions, you're feeling everybody's emotions. It's also a good opportunity for your psychic abilities to have been activated in this previous year. Maybe you're feeling very in tune psychic and you're just having a sense. Follow your gut, and definitely tune into getting quiet with yourself and seeing what's true and what's accurate, as opposed to, being very overly emotional about your choices or decisions about things. Really tune into what's clear. And our intuition is not emotional. So your emotions are not accurately, you might be feeling a lot of emotions, but your emotions are not an accurate gauge for what's going on in your life. You might be feeling something, but it's just you processing or reacting to what you're experiencing. But intuition is quiet. So if you can get to that quiet intuition in you that tells you, I should do this, I shouldn't do this, that's what's going to help you to thrive during this period. It's a good time to also explore your creativity, your creative abilities, your musical gifts, your intuitive gifts, your spiritual gifts, and your spirituality as well. Maybe a time where people sometimes are looking up to you and they're seeing you as a preacher, or they're seeing you as, some kind of like spiritual leader as well. But it's, like I said, it's good, but the challenge is that sometimes people are projecting onto you. And the thing is, when Rahu goes out of Pisces and it moves into Aquarius, people won't be projecting as much, but sometimes the facade they're projecting on you falls away, and they're like, oh, that's it? I'm kind of disappointed, or something like that, right? Because they built up this grand idea in their head, when by the end of the day, you're just human like everybody else. You're figuring things out just like everybody else. Yeah, so people might be putting expectations onto you during this time that are not accurate to who you are. And this is where you have to just kind of ground yourself, and you have to reassert the boundaries for yourself. We have Uranus and Aries in your second house. So there might be some revolutionary shifts that are happening when it comes to your immediate family. Maybe it's going through a lot of shifts, and things are just going out, old ways are going out the window, new ways are coming in. So you are going through a revolutionary shift around traditions, and maybe you're embracing an untraditional life. The second house can be quite traditional, quite family traditional oriented, and you're feeling quite untraditional in how you want to communicate, how you want to, how you connect to your family, and you're kind of embracing that unpredictability for yourself. Uranus gives you random spurts of opportunities to grow in your finances when it comes to your financial opportunities or making money. Maybe you're approaching it in a way that's unusual or different, as opposed to consistent, oh, I need to do it like this. But you're a very good leader. You have a strong sense or strong instincts for knowing how to make money, knowing what feels right what doesn't work. So definitely listen to that, because you've been going through some leadership upgrades in terms of knowing how to build your assets or build your resources. It's also a time where your old values are changing, and you're rebelling into new values for yourself, where you're like, okay, I'm about forward thinking. I'm about forward way of processing things or doing things in life. And that's what's going to benefit you, especially when it comes to like money. If you're too rigid, that will probably work against you. But if you welcome new innovative ways of making money, that's going to help you. Particularly when it comes to wealth, building wealth. So we got Jupiter, Taurus in the third house. So this is a time when you are feeling very inspirational. You're helping to give really solid and grounded advice to people about how to do things. People are probably looking to you as a teacher or a guru or a leader for how they can approach certain things. Your siblings might be going through an expansive or spiritual expansion when it comes to themselves, and they're being granted promotions as well. They're being given blessings in their life when it comes to like their material life, finances, or when it comes to just any kind of blessing or expansion that's happening for them. This is a good time for you to work on writing, to work on journaling, to talk to people more, connect to people more, on the internet, with Uranus being in your second house of your voice. It's a good time to be on the internet, connecting to people, sharing your insights with others, sharing your wisdom. I'm hearing you've learned so much, Pisces. You guys have learned so much in life, and there's so much that you can kind of offer to people to help them, to assist them in living a better life, because you've gone through a lot of experiences that can actually that other people are going through right now, are going through right now, or will go through, and you have advice for how to help them. So we have, what is it next? Where am I looking? So we talked about kids. You may also be feeling very courageous during this time, to stick out, to stand out, with Jupiter being in your third house of courage. Your talents might be showing up. And one of your talents, I think, has to do with communication, or your voice, or using your voice, or how authoritative your voice can be when it comes to guiding people as well. Yeah, so some of your talents, hobbies might be showing up during this time. We have K2, the South Node, in your 7th house of spouse partnership. So your spouse might be going through an introspective time in their life right now, where they're feeling called to work on themselves. They're feeling called to be less social during this time, because they're going through a powerful healing experience. Perhaps you're going through a powerful healing experience when it comes to your relationship, to your partners, your romantic partner, or your business partner. You're healing these relationship dynamics, and you're letting go of old criticism, old perfectionistic, rigid ideas that are not serving you, and you're welcoming the new. You're welcoming flow. You're welcoming peace. With Rahu, Neptune looking at your 7th house, you're welcoming flow. You're welcoming getting spiritual insight about how to connect with people. But yeah, you might be more focused on yourself than your spouse, but you might also be dedicating yourself to healing the connection you have with your spouse. So with Pluto being in Capricorn in your 11th house, your career reputation here, you're going through a power expansion when it comes to your social image. And so what helps you is overcoming whatever difficulties or obstacles, maybe even when it comes to the people around you. When it comes to these obstacles showing up for you, this has been a really good time to, maintain hope, like focusing on your dreams, focusing on things that help you to feel good, focusing on things that help you to heal and recover. Overcoming these obstacles is what's helping you to build in your social image, and this is what's having people feel a lot of respect towards you. People are feeling more respect towards you. Your friends, your network of friends are feeling a lot more respect when I think you're transparent about the things and the difficulties you've gone through. And I think this is a really good time to huddle up, do some mentorship. This is a really good time to mentor other people and to help other people, because whatever previous transformations you've gone through your life, this is a time where you're shining because you're sharing that wisdom with other people, whether it's on the internet, on social media, or in person, or you're presenting it during speeches of the sort, and you're kind of letting people know, like, this is what I've gone through and this is what works well for me. This is what has worked for me. When it comes to your wishes and desires, this is going through a transformation as well. Perhaps you're changing what you wanted. You know, with Capricorn being in your 11th house, you've aspired for stability in your life, and long-term stability. And this is a time where some of that is shaking up, and there are some unknowns that are showing up when it comes to your long-term stability. And there's some ideas where you're like, well, I was attached to this for so long, but now it's not quite working for me anymore. I have to try a different way. So this is a really good time to acknowledge the subconscious fears and desires you have when it comes to your aspirations and your dreams. And maybe there have been times where you've hesitated on pursuing your dreams. You've hesitated on doing the very thing that you wanted to, but this has been an obstacle for you. That's just showing you how to stay persistent, persevere, and pursue it anyways. Move towards it anyways. You can do it. And the more you pursue your dreams, the more power you're going to gain in your 11th house of your social image, as well as prosperity and abundance showing up in your life. The more you pursue your dreams and you stay true to your heart. And those dreams are those childhood dreams that you've had. The more you stay persistent on that, the more they will be fulfilled. Those desires will be fulfilled. So we have Saturn in Aquarius in your 12th house. So what this is doing is it's causing stagnancy or restriction when it comes to, there's a combination of things. So in one sense, it can actually help to stagnate and help create protection around expenditures. So maybe you have protection when it comes to your finances and your expenditures are being taken care of and it's not too heavy. But spiritually, you're being called to karmically give to humanity in a way, in a sense of like healing yourself, taking care of yourself behind the scenes, resting, devoting to spirit. Your devotion and your discipline when it comes to devoting to spirit or devoting to taking care of yourself is what's helping you to overcome any kind of negative karma here that has been built up. This is also a really good time to give back for the sake of giving back, because you're cultivating this energy of generosity within you, and this generosity that you cultivate within you is actually going to help to create good karma for yourself down the line. All right, so that is your 2025 reading. I think all of these readings were a little bit longer than I was going for, but I like to be very thorough and detailed, and I hope you guys enjoyed that, Pisces. Have a beautiful early 2025, and I will be staying uploading and alongside your journey, supporting you. I hope you guys have the best 2025. Bye.